As a disclaimer for this video, it is part 1 of 2 and does collect all the statements made by DE prior to and during the release of Nightwave. It also heavily collects comments and posts made from the community during Series 1 of Nightwave, specifically the first couple of weeks. That is the majority of this video, covering the Wolf of Saturn 6 and the community's response to it. They will be read straight to you, without any alteration for historical purposes. So, without further ado, let us begin. The Nightwave system and Series 1 of said system had been announced on the 18th of January 2019. This announcement came in Devstream 122 when DE presented their roadmap for the year, stating the series would launch before TennoCon while also announcing their plans for the system via a work-in-progress layout. That has also been shown on your screen.
The next thing I have is what we're calling...
This is pre-TennoCon, though.
Pre-TennoCon.
This is all pre-TennoCon.
Pre-TennoCon.
Yep. Wolf of Saturn. I don't know how to spell.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, so the next one is Wolf of Saturn. And this is a complete transformation of how alerts and challenges work in the game. Am I missing something, Scott?
There's some familiar faces, or not familiar, new faces.
New faces.
Right.
So we do have a little bit to show you on that front as well.
This is a mock-up.
This is a mock-up.
Yeah.
Placeholder rewards, that's just
Yeah.
slots.
So this is not the actual rewards. We're going to take pay to sleep from alerts, and we're going to take our challenge system, and we're going to have a set of daily and weekly challenges that are going to be unlocking throughout the whole many weeks that the Wolf of Saturn 6 is running. There'll be a new character, and there will be an animated webcomic in the game itself that is kind of giving you this short story of this new, it's not quite fair to call it an Eximus unit, but this kind of new character that's, this new villain that is forming in the game.
Yes.
So that's the Wolf of Saturn.
Taking a bunch of systems that we've created over the years and kind of pulling them all.
Together, removing the cruft.
Yeah.
So there'll be more details on that as it gets closer. But this is an active development, as is the Gas City, as is the Deck 12 and the Warframes. The next one, right, so there's a bit of world building in Wolf of Saturn. It's primarily focused on cosmetic rewards. You'll get to see the lineup and what you're working towards, as well as paste in there some high-end power gamer rewards. Yes. So that's the Wolf of Saturn. Okay, very good.
It had also been announced on the 8th of February in Devstream 123 that, again, alerts would be killed, with the following statement.
Enjoy those alerts while they last.
Yes, enjoy alerts while they last.
Alerts are getting killed this year.
We are killing alerts this year. We're sending them to the back of the Ram Ranch.
Yep.
No further information had been shared up until the 14th of February within the Whiteboards and Roadmaps and Update forum post. This post announced that the Wolf of Saturn 6 and subsequently Nightwave would be launching in the weeks after the post creation, and that a developer workshop post about the changes would be available to players in the future, with the following statements. The Wolf of Saturn stands out as something that replaces alerts, gives challenges, and introduces new characters. In the coming weeks, the Wolf will howl. You can expect a full What's Happening to Alerts workshop next week, as well as bye-bye pay to sleep. That statement about pay to sleep caused some confusion with players at the time, with one asking, so does that mean in the future I won't have to drop everything or miss out when a good alert pops? To which DE Steve did reply, yes, that is exactly what it means. No more dropping everything for an alert that you need. Within the hotfix released on the 15th of February, that being hotfix 24.2.15, new dialogue had been added to the Orbiter's scanner as a prelude for the release of Nightwave. Portions of this dialogue came from the new character Nora Knight, who would also make her debut with said dialogue. More information about her changes will be at the end of this video. On the 23rd of February, the developer workshop was posted under the title Nightwave, The Wolf of Saturn 6, A Farewell to Alerts. DE said in the post, for those of you who have been with us since 2013, there have been almost 6 years of alerts in your world state window, an ever-growing reward list of Warframe helmets, weapon blueprints, resources, and more, and an endless scrolling of the Warframe Alerts Twitter timeline. It has long been one of Warframe's quintessential daily check-in activities, and one that is familiar to new and veteran players. We are replacing randomly generated alerts with a new lore-driven system called Nightwave. At this point, they do break down the pros and cons of the alert system, while also answering why it was removed through the pros and cons list. The process of alerts were: open the World State window to the Alerts tab and select from the list of time-limited missions on unlocked nodes. Start these missions within the allotted time and successfully complete them to earn the advertised reward and credits. Rinse and repeat. It is at this point where the pros and cons list start, by outlining what the alert system offered when it was active. A quick and easy way to discover and complete unlocked nodes in the solar map. Earn credits, weapon blueprints, mods, and more to build up your inventory, which was primarily new player driven. A quick and easy way to play Warframe by hopping in and out of missions when you are short on time. That applied to anyone. A free path to earning cosmetics, such as Warframe alternate helmets and weapons skins, and the only path to earning many auras. That is an essential part of Warframe builds. They then continue by having dot points on what the alert system lacked. They said, the first was reliability. Missing a time-limited mission with an alert-only reward means waiting for it to rotate back into the live alerts, at which time you may not be available. This creates roadblocks to earning some of the essentials for new players, such as aura mods and general required crafting resources such as Nitane. This also created dependencies on the Warframe Alerts Twitter accounts and other third-party app that tracked alert status that pulls you out of the game. 2 was clutter. Just scroll the Warframe Alerts Twitter timeline, and all you'll see is credits, 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 and more credits. Challenge and variety. For players with resource, weapon, and credit abundancies, etc., the alerts tend to fall in the if needed category and are mostly overshadowed by sorties, as they offer more level-appropriate missions and rewards. Alert difficulty levels are also random, so while active alerts may offer needed rewards, the mission required to earning them may not be of interest. Finally, there was fun factor and narrative, where all they did was quote the famous line from the Lotus, "Tenno, there is a time-limited mission alert available. Check navigation." To explain what Nightwave is, DE said the following. Nightwave is a pirate radio series brought to you by the rogue Nora Knight. The Wolf of Saturn Six is the first Nightwave, our replacement to the current alert system, where daily, weekly challenges are offered over the course of multiple weeks and will center around new characters and episodes. Completing challenges will earn you Nightwave standing, and ranking up will reward you with a special kind of currency that expires after the series has completed. For the Wolf of Saturn Six, we are calling this special currency Wolf Creds, which you can earn and spend. This may sound familiar to syndicates in some way, but not in others. Unlike existing syndicates, you do not use the standing earn to purchase offerings. Standing for Nightwave is unique in that it is used solely for rising up the ranks. So for the Wolf of Saturn 6, each rank reached unlocks a special reward specific to the Wolf of Saturn 6. You will also be granted Wolf Cred that you can spend in a specialty Cred Offerings shop. They explained further in the post that Wolf Creds are exclusive to the Wolf of Saturn 6 series, and will be converted into credits after the first series concludes, providing a Twitch clip from an impromptu stream, where Steve said,
One important factor is to keep in mind when you're playing it, it's shown in there, is that the cred is only good for the duration of the Nightwave series.
Yeah.
So the Series 1 cred is called Wolf Cred, and you can spend it on whatever you want in these offerings, but it really becomes just credits at the end of the series, so you want to make sure you use it.
To expand further on what will change from the aforementioned pros and cons, there was another dot point breakdown for Nightwave. Reliability and clutter. We want to eradicate the snooze you lose system we have now, and give the freedom to choose the rewards you want and need from the current alert system in a more reliable and predictable format. No more Twitter feeds, no more wrong place, wrong time, it will all be housed under the Nightwave roof. They explained further by saying, we are doing this in 2 ways. 1. By moving alert rewards into the Cred Offerings. What you see will be what you get, and what you get will be available for a longer period of time, not just a blip. There is no rug pulling from under your feet. The Cred Offerings are visible at any time from the Nightwave window for that duration. Over the course of Nightwave, the rewards from the 4 categories will rotate. Those 4 categories being aura mods, helmets, weapon skins, and weapon blueprints, with evergreen rewards available permanently throughout. There will be no limit to how many times you can purchase an item, unless of course you run out of Wolf Creds. You'll see a large inventory of Warframe helmets in the Cred Offerings as well, as they are the biggest category out of the 4. A full list of the items that would be coming to Series 1's offering store was given. It included alert-specific rewards, but with some changes. Nitane Extract could be purchased in bundles of 5, players could purchase Orokin Reactors and Catalyst Blueprints, parts for the Warframe Vauban, and the aforementioned aura mods, helmets, weapon skins, and blueprints. But within the post, DE also stated that the following rewards launched with alerts were added retroactively and therefore won't be a part of the Nightwave offering storefront. Those being a former blueprint, Kubrau eggs, Kavat genetic codes, void traces, Endo, resources, nightmare mode mods, and Synthula. They also provided reasons as to why they would not be included. For former blueprints, they said, "We are swapping out the blueprint reward from the current alert system to a bundle of built former that will be part of the reward tiers list in Nightwave. Kubrau eggs were added to the alert system in update 15. With the overall drop rate increase of eggs in update 18.8 and the removal of pickup limit on Kubrau eggs in update 23.10, Kubrau eggs aren't as hard to earn as they once were before they were added to alerts. Since we are removing genetic codes from alerts, we will be increasing the chance of earning 1 code per scan from 15 to 25%, and resource boosters will apply to the scans. Traces can easily be earned while playing Fisher missions, Endo can easily be earned elsewhere, resources can easily and passively be earned in mission, and you can still earn Nightmare Mode mods from their Nightmare missions. Synthula was also introduced in the Pacifism defect and was added to the alert as a means of acquiring the STIM technology outside of clan research. Since the demand for this item post-event has decreased as it is used to buff NPCs, we have simply left it as clan research. Point 2 was diversifying the acquisition of core Warframe goods through the tier rewards. The post read, "More ways for you to get the things you want and need, which includes debuting purchase-only items like inventory slots and some cosmetics into earnables. Additionally, tier rewards will include items new to Warframe pertaining to Nightwave and the Wolf of Saturn Six. The goal, focus on story-driven aspects of Nightwave and explore what could be offered gameplay-wise without relying on mastery rank. In regards to challenge and variety, fun factor, and narrative, DE expressed, you can expect elite weekly challenges for those looking to earn more faster. The challenges can range from completing certain mission types to performing certain actions or tasks, and everything in between. You can also expect rich stories told by Nora Knight. We are removing the time-limited alerts from the world state window, but arbitrations, the Void Trader's location and countdown, Maru's I-10 hunt, help clan missions, tactical alerts, and Devstream Gift of the Lotus alerts will remain within the tab. DE even went further and said new alternate helmets will be added into the category rotation in the Cred Offerings shop, and new items may be added to the Cred Offerings rotation with the emergence of new Nightwaves, while also announcing that the Wolf of Saturn Six series will feature a new desert camo skin blueprint that players could purchase. Now, the response to the developer workshop was mostly the same, with players expressing their excitement and acceptance as well as their criticism for the Nightwave system, praising the ability to farm reactors and catalysts, but a number of players went further, sharing their positive, negative, and critical thoughts. Now, there were a large amount of these feedback posts across the whole season of Nightwave, but I will just highlight a few. The first was from a user called Autocept, who shared, "I have serious concerns about this, not with regards to the gameplay, fun, or rewards, but with the immersion, story, and feeling of Warframe. Part of the reason why Second Dream works so well is you're this mysterious force that goes out on time-limited missions to save people and sabotage enemies. And then you discover, oh, this is who you are? It gives some feeling of variety to an otherwise static grind through planet missions to unlock the next node for new players. As a 2,500 plus hour player, do I run alerts often? No. Do I wish alerts had better rewards? Yes. Is my immersive experience in Warframe better because of alerts I do not run? 200% yes. Just going to the console and seeing these things out in the system happens to make me feel more connected to the game's universe and my shit. I am all for improved systems and better things, I'm just not sure alerts totally need to die for this. Another user by the name of Nix219 said, I don't see why you guys wouldn't run the alerts and Nightwave thing concurrently in the game to get better data on whether or not people actually prefer the old versus the new, or vice versa. So you know if you're wasting your time and effort on the new or not, and I'm honestly not sold on this new one. I like the alert system the way it is. It's fine, just needs difficulty and reward tweaks is all. Not a total rework into a whatever Nightwave is, because I just don't understand what you're aiming for here. Defining alerts is straightforward. I read through the description of Nightwave 3 times, and it's still only as clear as mud. Noneklid saying, the current missability of alert rewards, particularly Nightane, is absolutely of huge frustration and I welcome the move away. With that said, I'm concerned that this promotes burnout. The current alert system offers the following: virtually guaranteed grouping. I don't think I've ever done an alert even for only credits and not had at least one other person not matched in before I left the spawn room. But for faction dailies etc, doing them on an off-peak time has often left me running solo. Monotony breaks. Seeing a random Kubrau egg or whatever come up will often get me to switch tasks, and alleviate the boredom of grinding through dailies. Bite-sized gameplay. Related to the above, there's a ton of grind in Warframe. Alerts by their nature cannot be effectively ground and so help mitigate burnout. The new system furthermore a Thanksgiving-style gameplay and eat till you're sick buffet. My hope is for you to counterbalance this somehow, and not dive too deeply into the daily chore cycle in an attempt to solve other problems. Next came GabbyNaru, who said, so what's the point of time gating these again? Because if it really isn't because of monetization as Steve said, more on that later, then I genuinely see no reason for the time gating of Wolf Creds. What's the point of playing this mode if you can't save up on currency for when stuff you need does pop up? Like this mode will drop, I'll do 1 to 2 missions to get Wolf Creds I need for that brand new thing they have, then I'll ignore it until the next season because there's no point in playing because I already have everything else. That doesn't exactly sound like an improvement on alerts. At least with alerts, if something caught my eye like 19 or Kavat DNA, I would have done the mission for the heck of it, because I could stockpile that stuff even if I didn't need it. But it sounds like there's no point in doing that with Nightwave, since I can't stockpile anything. I get what I want and that's that. Why? Genuinely, why is there a need for Wolf Creds to expire? Why can't we have Night Creds and roll them through seasons? At least that would feel rewarding, not like I'm wasting my time. Now before I get into more replies to the initial announcement post, there was the following comment that actually received a reply from DE Danielle. That post read, if that's how it is, it's really not a downgrade. There's a limited number of alert rewards that are available in any given period anyway. Instead of waiting a full month for the rewards you want to cycle around in alerts, everything will be available in a month-long shop. If you're not interested in the cosmetics, you wouldn't be playing those alerts in the first place, and you can just spend all your Wolf Creds on more Forma and Orokin cells than you'd ever see in a month with the current system. For DE Danielle's response, she said, you nailed it. Just keep in mind, as mentioned in the original post, that the alert rewards, aside from evergreens listed, do not rotate through the duration of the series, so some planning and consideration on where you spend your Wolf Creds will come about. The final forum post response came from a user Reaver Kane, who said, nice change. Seems pretty cool, but I don't agree with a few points personally. I'm not sure I like the currencies being temporary. I understand rotating offers, but I don't like the disappearing currency idea. I've had a bad experience with a similar change in another game where they removed a currency. I was saving for one of the expensive rewards, but I was unable to log into the game during the period they were removing it, so I lost all the effort I had put into it. I don't think Warframe is so good with handling rewarding player effort that you should be doing temporary currencies. I don't mind the cycling inventory, but I think you should keep the currency the same, and if players don't like the remaining offers on one cycle, they should be allowed to carry on into the next. Otherwise, the alternative is people not playing at the end of the cycles because it would be useless. Not a good system, in my opinion. I don't think it is a good idea to remove Endo and Void Traces. Void Traces can be earned from fishes, but when you're spending 100 to get 20, it's not viable. unless you increase your Void Trace rewards by 15 to 20% at least. It will become problematic, especially for new players who can't accumulate as much. Same can be said for Endo. The more reliable Endo sources come from the end of the star map. Removing that boost from alerts can become detrimental to everyone, but especially new players. That being said, you seem to have forgotten to improve on arbitrations, and removing Endo from other rewards won't make that content more appealing, but will make the overall game experience less. Also, resources like Tellurium and arguably Argon Crystals should probably be kept in. Sure, now you can get Tellurium from bounties in Fortuna, but it's 2 RNG compared to a fixed reward. I mean, this is a great way to remove RNG from rewards, but removing all resources would just force people into another RNG. The same RNG is applied to Nightmare mods. I think it would be better to just have an hourly Nightmare alert, so people don't have to farm Nightmares to get X mod, but can just wait for that cycling event to hit the mod they need. This would also fill up the alerts tab a bit. Now, of course, there were many opinions shared across various forums, and links to everything I've mentioned here today will be in the description down below, so if you do want to go for a deeper dive into the original thoughts of players throughout the series, the posts, once again, are in the description down below. But there were a number of posts that received responses from DE Rebecca on a cross-posted Reddit thread. The first post said, well, pretty much everything here sounds like a substantial improvement to me. I was concerned that this was going to end up as Warframe's version of a Fortnite-style season pass, and while the presence of unique rewards presents some risk of moving things in that direction, at least we won't have to pay to participate. At this point, I only see 2 major issues. First, the more narrative-focused direction. While a great way to keep the story moving between major quests, also requires the devs to continually develop new story content every couple of months in the addition to the new rewards for each Nightwave. To be sure, this is hardly an insurmountable obstacle, and I personally see no issue with partially or completely reusing older story elements in the future, but it's still worth keeping in mind. This could also be a good way to avoid the missed forever issue. Second, and far more critically, the removal of resources from the rewards pool takes an already problematic aspect of the game, resource distribution, and drags it into the spotlight. Currently, a lot of early game weapons, such as the standard Paris for example, requires resources such as plastids, which are available but impractically rare on Phobos, and otherwise unavailable until Saturn, and nanospores, which are first available on Saturn, making them difficult for new players to obtain without getting their source materials from other sources. As it currently stands, there are 2 other ways of getting resources: alerts and the market, and the changes outlined for Nightwave would leave the market as the only option available, making it functionally impossible to get a decent chunk of the low MR weapons without paying at least some amount of platinum. Warframes themselves also face a similar, albeit smaller, issue. Almost all of them require control modules, which are first available in the Void, and Orokin cells, which are first available on Ceres, meaning if new players want to expand their roster before they're almost a third of the way through the star chart, they would need to buy these components with platinum. Now, to be clear, I don't mean to imply that DE is doing this maliciously, but it is absolutely a major issue that needs to be addressed. Fortunately, it's also an easy one to resolve. Either change the recipes, or move some resources around. Hopefully the problem will be noticed, and the person then goes on to tag Rebecca, and addressed before the new content goes live, so everyone can enjoy the game the way they want to, regardless of how long they have been playing. Rebecca responded, I appreciate your point, but I'm not sure alerts really were great for what you are describing in general, 19 obviously being an exception. Using plastids as an example, there has been 1 plastids alert in the past 72 hours on PC on Jupiter, so a player would have to have Jupiter unlocked, by which they'd already have Phobos unlocked. Playing planets for resources is and always will be the core acquisition method. We want players to complete the star chart, that is our goal. Complete junctions, unlock regions, get region rewards, etc. But yes, there is always room for review, i.e. what resources are needed to craft X item. How far away is that in progress, and should that be a long-term goal to set? Now, the next reply was built off of a new reply chain, and Rebecca once again did reply to this chain. But it starts with user 1, who said, if I'm correct, it sounds like you can pretty kind of farm Orokin reactors or Orokin catalyst blueprints using this system. This is great. I never really liked the randomness of potato alerts. User 2. I'm impressed that they're doing this since that will pretty much remove the need to buy those for a lot of people. User 3. It depends on how farmable the events are. I would imagine there will be a finite amount of currency available per event. So if I want to get the cosmetics, it will limit your ability to buy potatoes. I also doubt they will be cheap, seeing as the prices will probably be proportionate to their rarity under the current system. I suspect there will be plenty of reason to buy them with platinum. Heck, it might even end up being a faster option depending on your farm of choice. Where Rebecca did reply, this is an on-point analysis. Things like reactors and catalysts are, well, catalysts for our free-to-play model working as it does. They will now be reliably available within the Nightwave rewards if that's what you choose to spend your Nightwave cred on, which most of us who have all the aura mods and alt helmets likely will. But for those who are still weighing their options, they might choose something else first. Next came the official release of Nightwave across all platforms on the 28th of February. For PC, it released in Update 24.3, for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, it had released in an update simply called Nightwave, and for Nintendo Switch, in the update titled Fortuna Profit Taker. The release of Nightwave, on top of removing standard alerts, had also removed in-mission affinity challenges, as the Nightwave reward acts did replace them. Nightwave had also launched with the following trailer that provides a brief explanation of the system and did show off some of the rewards before we had a look at them in-game.
Hey there, dreamers. You hearing me? Looks like things are kicking off. Mark the frequency. The time has come to act together. Acts of defiance, acts of generosity, acts of sacrifice. This is how we turn this system around. Nora sleeps better knowing her dreamers are out there, working to lift us up.
Now, DE also explained the system further via their website. In each Nightwave series, you'll earn standing with Nora Knight by completing acts to rise through the reward tiers. Unlock power items, exclusive cosmetics, or currency called Wolf Cred with each new tier reached. Make sure to complete all 30 tiers before the series is over to earn all the rewards. On top of this, it should also be noted that tier 60 was the highest tier players could reach. Now, as for the tier rewards, they had also attached a reward track, and because the first series has concluded, we can go into further detail about some of these rewards. But I digress. The rewards follow. Tier 1 had the Saturn 6 sigil. Tier 2, the Wolf of Saturn 6 glyph. Tier 3, 50 Wolf Creds. Tier 4 had 2 weapon slots. Tier 5, the Wolf of Saturn 6 Noggle. Tier 6, 50 Wolf Creds. Tier 7, a former bundle. Tier 8, a Warframe slot. Tier 9, a Saturn 6 emblem. Tier 10, the Wolf Salute emote. Tier 11, an Orokin Catalyst. Tier 12, 50 Wolf Creds. 13, the Nightwave Sigil. And Tier 14 brought the first mod that was introduced through the Nightwave track, and that was the Wild Frenzy Gricada mod. This mod increased the fire rate of Gricadas by 400% until the magazine was empty when using its alternate fire key. The mod would also refund 100% of the ammo if you had killed 2 or more enemies when using that aforementioned alt fire. Tier 15 gave 20,000 Kuva, Tier 16 50 Wolf Creds, Tier 17 the Wolf K-Drive Scroll for your K-Drives, Tier 18 the Bursting Mass Mutilus Quanta mod, which was the second out of the 3 available through the Nightwave track, and this mod accumulates 200% of the damage that goes through the secondary fire's orbs and deals that damage in a 15 meter radius when the orb explodes. The secondary fire would also detonate the existing orb. Tier 19 gave 20,000 Kuva, Tier 20 50 Wolf Creds, Tier 21 the Nightwave emblem, Tier 22 the third and final mod, which was the Napalm Grenades mod for the Penta. This increased the Penta's base status by 30 and made the Penta's grenades leave a burning patch upon impact. Tier 23 gave the Saturn 6 capture a scene. I'll talk more about that later in regards to a bit of community response. Tier 24, 50 Wolf Creds. Tier 25, a single rank 1 Arcane Energize. Tier 26, the Wolf Howl emote. And when it comes to this emote, it originally had no sound effects, but later received a howl effect upon activation in update 24.7. That howl I will play for you now. Tier 27 gave a former bundle. Tier 28, the Saturn 6 Syndana. Tier 29 gave the first introduction of Umbra Former into the game with a single Umbra Former. This Umbra Former allowed players to use the Umbra mods provided to players during the Sacrifice quest, and allowed them to place at least one on their Warframe because you polarized the slot with an Umbral polarity. Lastly, there was Tier 30, which gave the Saturn 6 armor set, and a full diorama of that can be shown on your screen right now. After reaching Tier 30, players would enter the Prestige mode, but the only reward from there on out would be a bundle of 15 Wolf Creds for each rank. As mentioned beforehand, the maximum tier for the Wolf of Saturn 6 was 60. Speaking of Wolf Creds, we'll now continue to the original website post with the explanation of Cred Offerings, where DE said, "Visit the Nightwave Cred Offerings to acquire the former alert system rewards you want the most, including 19 extract, weapon and helmet blueprints, catalyst reactors, and rare aura mods. Earn up to 300 Wolf Cred by completing daily and weekly acts, and even more with Prestige mode once you rise past Tier 30. Wolf Creds must be redeemed before the series is over, or sold for credits, so use them before the frequency is lost." The Cred Offering store, as mentioned earlier, was on a rotation, and would cycle its stock out weekly. When it came to the Cred Offering storefront, on top of housing aura mods, Warframe helmet blueprints, and more, it housed new cosmetics that were introduced via this system, some of which I've mentioned beforehand, which were the desert camo skins. But on top of that, there was also the Saturn 6 ornament for your orbiter decoration, and of course the desert camo skins. Now these were for the Atarax, Grinlock, Heck, Karak, Merlock, and Tonkor. At this point, I shall also mention that at the end of Season 1, Wolf Creds were not converted into credits and instead remained stagnant in players' inventories up until the 7th of June, where DE implemented the option for players to sell their creds for 5,000 credits each, and that was made available within Hotfix 25.1.1. Now, in regards to Wolf Creds and the storefront, I should also mention a few Reddit posts. The first was, I started in late November and here is everything I got from alerts with a comparison to the Nightwave system. The post read, "I've played since the end of November, and I had roughly 12 weeks with the old alert system. It is a little over 10 weeks for Wolf of Saturn 6, but pretty close. In that time, I got the following: 34 alternate helmets, 23 auras, not included extras I sold, 8 potatoes from alerts, maybe more, which is not including Guides of the Lotus. I think Switch got lots of potatoes at the start since it was new, 37 19, 3 weapon blueprints, and 1 Vauban part. The alt helmets alone would cost 1190 Wolf Cred. Auras 460, potatoes 600, 19, 111. Weapons 150 and Vauban 25, for a grand total of 2,536 Wolf Cred. That is 8.5 times more cred than you can get in the normal track, which is 300, or 5.1 times more than you can get if you include the prestige rank, which is 495 cred. If you are a new player, this system is garbage compared to what you could obtain previously. It is mainly because in the old system, grabbing an aura or helmet did not remove the ability to grab a potato from an alert. With Nightwave, since everything costs cred and cred is limited, buying 4 potatoes means I have to completely forget 19 auras, helmets, etc. If you are a vet and already have all the helmets and auras you need, this doesn't affect you much. But I feel sorry for anyone who starts now because it will take 1 to 1.6 years to get what I got in a few months. This has been compounded by the issue that's been brought up before that new players won't be able to do the challenge that reward more standing. My solution would be to add auras, helmets, and weapon blueprints to invasion rewards or drastically reduce their cred cost. I've been enjoying Nightwave and it is challenging for the most part with a couple of obvious exceptions, but this is really poorly set up for new players. To add a little to this, I've done every challenge so far Hydralist and have been generally happy with them, though Survival and Iotans could use a tweak. I like the format, I like the rank rewards, I like the reliability, and even the cred shop is pretty okay if all you want is Nitane and potatoes. It specifically sucks if you need a larger variety of things or if you want to collect helmets, and it is the worst for new players who need more things and can do less challenges, which is the biggest problem in my opinion. A number of notable replies include, need more sources of wolf creds, the current system is abysmal. With some of the other responses saying, the wolf should drop some of them, would make sense. One adding, why can't we have both Nightwave and old alerts at the same time is beyond me. Same for the removal of incursions in the Plains of Eidolon. Another, it really does seem like the combination of low wolf cred availability and lack of carryover between Nightwave seasons are going to be the big issues if costs stay as they are. I'm on the Switch, so I've only got since November to now to compare against, and like the original post, my collection would be highly restricted if the system had been in place at the start. I appreciate all the new rewards from standing, and am fairly certain I cannot rank 30 with just non-elite challenges, dailies, and NPC spawns, but the wolf cred economy is just not good as is. Now in another post about wolf creds, the title was, would it be a good idea to reward 5 to 10 credits per rank in Nightwave, where they explain, honestly, I'm Mastery rank 10, and if I needed 19 right now, I would be absolutely fucked. I cannot imagine being Mastery rank 5 and needing 19 for anything. The rewards for wolf creds are a little too spaced out for my liking. We could get a 5 to 10 credit bundle per each rank, and I think that would do something to help us out so we feel constant progression. Alternatively, each capture on Wolf Boys could reward you 2 to 5 credits, and that would make it more easy to farm to get Nitane. Does anyone have any ideas on this? Where of course people replied. Someone saying, right now we get 300 credits over 30 ranks, except they come in 6 lumps of 50. Instead, they could give 10 creds at each rank up. This serves to help casual players as they get creds sooner and more consistently, and is no detriment to those who push 30 and prestige because they'll get the same amount either way. I have no clue why it's implemented the way it is, especially when they tout the system as a boon for people with time constraints. Which I think they failed to do, but that's a different discussion. Now I will move on from Wolf Creds and go into challenges. For players to rank up their tiers, they had to complete daily, weekly, and elite weekly acts, or gather Saturn 6 fugitives, but I will talk more about these Saturn 6 fugitives in part 2. Now a daily act rewarded 1000 standing, a weekly act rewarded 3000, and an elite weekly act rewarded 5000. And the following is the collection of each week's challenge list. Week 1 had players needing to complete 8 bounties on the Plains of Eidolon, 9 invasion missions, scan 3 Samaras targets, 3 waves of Sanctuary Onslaught, kill 100 Xmas enemies, fill 5 Iotan treasures, 3 capture missions, kill 500 enemies, kill or capture the Hydralist, and do a sortie with a friend or clanmate. Week 2 had unlock 3 relics, complete 10 syndicate missions, complete 1 sortie, kill 30 Xmas, pick up 8 rare mods, complete 10 perfect animal captures, complete 3 assassination missions, complete a 60-minute survival with friends or a clan member, complete 3 waves of Sanctuary Onslaught, and complete a 60-minute Kuva survival without using life support modules. Week 3 had mine 6 rare gems in the Plains of Eidolon, help Clem in his weekly mission, complete 3 sabotage missions, complete 4 Orokin vaults, complete 8 bounties in the Orb Valis, catch 6 rare Sovo fish in the Orb Valis, mine 6 rare gems in the Orb Valis, complete 4 Halls of Ascension on Lua, complete an extermination mission with level 30 or higher enemies without being detected, and complete 5 sorties. Week 4 had catch 6 rare fish in the Plains of Eidolon, complete 3 exterminate missions, guild 1 modular item, complete 3 spy missions, use former 3 times, complete 3 mobile defense missions, complete 3 rescue missions, kill Profit Taker while playing with a friend or clanmate, kill 1500 enemies, and unlock 10 relics. Week 5 had find all caches in 3 sabotage missions, catch 6 rare fish in the plains of Eidolon, complete 5 scans for Cephalon Samaris, complete 1 sortie, complete 3 nightmare missions of any type, complete 10 syndicate missions, complete 3 waves of Sanctuary Onslaught, win 3 wages in a row without letting the enemy score in 1 match of the index, kill 3 Silver Grove Spectres, and originally it was complete a defense mission reaching at least wave 40 with a friend or clanmate, but it was changed to kill 100 Xmas enemies. More information about that change will be in the later parts of this video. For week 6 you had to complete 3 assassination missions, find all caches in 3 sabotage missions, complete 8 bounties of Plains of Eidolon, kill 500 enemies, complete 3 spy missions, complete 3 mobile defense missions, unlock 4 Orokin Vaults, complete 4 Halls of Ascension on Lua, complete 3 rounds of Elite Sanctuary Onslaught, and complete 10 Nightmare missions. For week 7 you had to fully socket 3 I-10 sculptures on PC, or 5 if you were on console, pick up 8 rare mods, complete 9 invasion missions of any type, complete 3 capture missions, use Forma 3 times, catch 6 rare servo fish in the Orb Valis, mine 6 rare gems in the Orb Valis, complete 10 nightmare missions of any type, complete 3 sorties on PC, and if you were on console you had to complete 5, and you also had to unlock 10 relics. For week 8, you had to mine 6 rare gems in the Plains of Eidolon, kill 30 Xmas, complete 3 rescue missions, complete 3 sabotage missions, complete 3 nightmare missions of any type, unlock 3 relics, complete 8 bounties in the Orb Valis, complete 3 wages in a row without letting any enemy score 1 match of the index, kill 100 Xmas enemies, and kill 1500 enemies. For week 9, you had to complete 10 perfect animal captures in the Orb Valis, complete 3 exterminate missions, guild 1 modular item, help Clem in his weekly mission, complete 3 capture missions, complete 3 nightmare missions of any type, complete 3 zones of Sanctuary Onslaught, complete a defense mission reaching at least wave 40 while playing with a friend or clanmate, survive at least 60 minutes without using life support capsules in the Kuva survival, and complete a survival mission reaching at least 60 minutes while playing with a friend or clanmate. For week 10, it was find all caches in 3 sabotage missions, pick up 8 rare mods, complete 3 mobile defense missions, complete 1 sortie, complete 8 bounties in the Orb Valis, catch 6 rare servo fish in the Orb Valis, mine 6 rare gems in the Orb Valis, kill Profit Taker while playing with a friend or clanmate, complete an exterminate mission with level 30 or higher enemies without being detected, and complete a sortie with a friend or clanmate. The second last week of week 11 had you complete 3 assassination missions, complete 10 perfect animal captures in the Orb Valis, kill 30 Xmas units, complete 3 sabotage missions, complete 1 sortie, complete 3 nightmare missions of any type, complete 10 syndicate missions, complete a defense mission reaching at least wave 40 while playing with a friend or clanmate, kill 100 Xmas units, and kill the Profit Taker while playing with a friend or clanmate. Lastly, there was week 12, which made you find all caches in 3 sabotage missions, catch 6 rare fish in the Plains of Eidolon, complete 3 exterminate missions, help Clem with his weekly mission, complete 3 spy missions, use Forma 3 times, complete a mobile defense mission 3 times, kill or capture a Hydralist, kill 1500 enemies, and complete 3 sorties. Thanks to cephalonsquared.com for archiving that information, because I would not have found it easy otherwise. Now, on the 1st of March, DE expanded on the information about Nightwave during Devstream 124, where they said,
Should we talk about Nightwave?
Yes.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean,
that's what we'll be doing.
there is a workshop post about it. There is the forum post about it as well. The Nightwave Series 1 is going to last around 10 weeks. Throughout those 10 weeks, we will be dropping another episode that expands the lore a little bit. It's not going to be every week, we don't think, but it is. We do have a backlog of scheduled things that we're going to be revealing. That's going to also weekly. We're going to rotate the challenges. Right. What else can I say? Oh, and the Wolf and the Convicts become kind of more common as time goes on. So that is going to address some of the questions I saw. You need to do probably 60% of the challenges, or acts as we call them, 60% of the acts to max out.
Yes.
If you max out, that's right, Warriors come out to play ya.
Yes.
If you max out Nightwave tiers, it goes into a prestige, and you got 30 more that will just give you Wolf Cred. Wolf Cred, your Nightwave standing, all of these things don't carry into Season 2 because there'd be nothing to do if it did. So when Series 2 happens, the Wolf will be retired and kind of doing his thing.
The lore will be put into the codex. I know I saw a lot of people saying, if we miss it, what happens?
That's right. The lore goes into the codex, and then there'll be a new series tier for you to go to. But for this one, we've got a couple episodes, well, more than a couple episodes to come and escalate the Series 1. And that's how it works, I think.
Yeah.
Did I miss anything?
No, one question is, do we have a stance on exclusivity? So I think there's two very firm camps of players. One is, yes, a player that participates in this should exclusively have access to the wolf armor and the cosmetics pertaining to the lore itself.
Right.
Obviously, things like Umbra Forma are too important to keep exclusive to the first ever series. That will be returning in other ones, but the cosmetics that pertain to the story.
Right.
Are we going to, for now, keep them exclusive, which is kind of how we've operated in our 6 years? Event exclusives were exclusive for a while, and then we brought them back years later. I don't know.
Because you get new players that join
Yeah.
post everything, and it's hard to
There's only a few
punish
things.
them.
Yeah, and there's only a few things that are truly exclusive, and that comes from Founders' Promises.
Yes.
The rest will go into
maybe someday.
into some kind of rotation at a later date. Maybe, depending on how the community's feedback is after Nightwave's done, there might be a few things they prefer Nora to offer in Series 2, and we could do that.
And maybe with Prestige and other series, if you Prestige it, you get a chance to get things from prior series. There's a lot of things we can do.
Absolutely, and we want to encourage you to participate. Obviously, that's what this is for.
Yeah.
So some of those things, I wouldn't expect to see them easily obtained after this, but in the future, don't freak out if you do see them pop up.
I just saw one comment that is actually one of the most, there's two very frequent pieces of feedback regarding the acts. One is, I have no friends. Please don't put challenges that have...
I did see that one as well,
And then the other one was the Iatan one, which we talked about a bit internally, but I don't think we're changing yet, but we do recognize that it probably should change the next time we offer it, or in a future offering.
That's right.
So, friend one, kind
The
of...
friend one we're still debating. The item one I think was a bit too rare. All things considered, we're really pleased with how it's working out so far. And ride this out for a bit with us and let us know how you feel. We're absolutely collecting feedback. We have notes for Series 2 already. And the most important question, is it at all an homage to the 1979 film The Warriors? And the answer is yes. Wolf spawn is low, and it will be increasing throughout Series 1.
Yes.
Okay, so it is low right now. It's true, but it's going to be increasing.
All right.
After this dev stream, a post was created on the Warframe subreddit under the title, I think the 60% of Nightwave challenges to hit rank 30 is off. Math inside. It read, was looking at these more with a new weekly set of challenges, bounties, acts, and came up with conflicting information to what the devs stated. Each week there are 7 dailies at 1k apiece. Incidentally, dailies stack up to 3 days. 7 weeklies at 3k apiece. 3 high-end weeklies at 5k apiece. Total of 43k possible a week. Individual convict captures are 50 rep and usually come in groups of 3. Earnings requirements are 10k per rank for 30 ranks, total of 300,000 rep. Per developer comments, this Nightwave will last for 10 weeks. 30k rep needed a week. Now for math. You need 70% of the week's available rep without any captures. Each Elite Weekly is 11% of the week's rep. If you miss all 3 Elite Weeklies every week, you will likely miss the max rep unless you capture like mad. Say 40 convicts a week, every week. Missing 2 Elite Weeklies would require you to do everything else for the week other than 1 weekly or 3 dailies. Some challenges may not be possible within a week, such as the Iatan challenge. Initial reactions, this seems pretty aggressive and limiting. What if you are away from your console or PC for a week? Elite Weeklies seem very critical, maybe too much. Captives and the Wolf are supposed to get more common as it goes on. This is a big unknown currently. It will be very difficult to prestige and get excess Wolf Creds. This sucks for new players who need those Creds. Anyone joining our returning mid-Nightwave act is possibly screwed. You miss 3 weeks and it becomes nearly impossible to max without convict captures. I know you don't need to get everything, but collection is one of the key elements of Warframe. With the addition of 60-minute survival elite weeklies, there will be more divides. Some can't do very long missions due to other constraints or connections, etc. Friend game may be rough for solo players. Easiest solution may just extending an act 2 to 3 more weeks. More dailies or weeklies may help too. Dailies could be worth 2k, incentivize high-end play or frequent play, and also puts weekly rep to an even 50k. It is early and these are growing pains that can be adjusted. Nightwave is a really cool addition to Warframe. Having alienating requirements that make it near impossible to hit max rank or feel like a chore may kill engagement, which is the opposite of its goal. Need 70% of a week's rep to hit 30, not 60%. Rep requirements seem very tight and focused on elite weeklies. A few high point replies follow. Reply 1. I strongly agree about Wolf Creds. It's more limiting to new players than to vets, which defeats the point. Convict spawns and wolf spawns are supposedly going to become more common as the event proceeds. Whether they do so sufficiently to make up for lost standing remains to be seen. DE said they're open to extending the current Nightwave since it's the first one in order to tune it. Hopefully they remain open to it if most players find it difficult to reach at least rank 25 or so. The person then quotes the anyone joining mid-Nightwave sentence, saying, if you start the game in the middle of Nightwave, most of the rewards like Kuva or Umbra Forma are irrelevant to you and there's no reason for you to worry too much about it. I do agree that 70% seems a bit tight. For example, someone coming back from hiatus in the middle of a Nightwave. Reply 2. I don't know how much it will help, but apparently the fugitives should be spawning more often as the event goes on, which could help make up some missed challenges and the wolf will spawn more too. I agree it's pretty tight to reach max rank, not including that prestige is even a thing. Only the hardcore players can reasonably complete enough challenges to reach prestige levels, and those players are least likely to need wolf creds. Hopefully, since it's a new system and DE has already noted that some challenges are a bit too hard, DE will balance this as it goes. The next Nightwave should be much smoother, I hope. Reply 3. As a casual player with limited time, this just makes the game feel more like a second job. To get any 19 you need to get rep tier 3 or 30k. If that is all you do in 10 weeks, you can buy 15 19 for 45 wolf creds. All well and good, however, if you want or need an Orokin Catalyst and Reactor, you need to reach tier 6 or 60k so that you can get 100 wolf creds and spend 75 on one of either an Orokin Catalyst or Reactor. In 10 weeks time, with the alert system and the Warframe app, I'm fairly sure I could have obtained one or both of the blueprints for a Catalyst and Reactor. Building them wouldn't be a problem for me as I have enough resources. This new system feels like it's set up to make players feel a sense of pride and achievement. Another reply saying, told you, they said 60% of challenges when they meant 60% of standing, which is something completely different from when elites give 5k each. With someone replying to that post saying, I've been saying that for the entire last week. In this system you live and die by the elite missions, because the 3 elites are more than a third of the weekly standing. And the elite challenges, to judge from this week, are only increasing in annoyance. I'm not fucking doing 60-minute survivals, which means at least 10k standing down the drain this week. Now DE Steve had replied to a number of posts and questions tweeted at him by players about Nightwave over its duration, with most of them having been answered already in aforementioned posts and dev streams which I have already highlighted, such as the challenge completion rate needed to reach rank 30, if it would be possible to hit level 30 without completing landscape acts, the duration of the Wolf of Saturn 6 series, and the wolf spawn rate increasing over time. Outside of these already mentioned answers, there were a number of responses to highlight that were made once again over the course of the series. The first was on the 28th of February, and is a thread. Twitter user. Well, I'm sure it's good for new players. As a vet, the first iteration of Nightwave is extremely disappointing, particularly invasions and plains bounties. Hey, that stuff you did a lot of and don't need rewards from, go do it again. Steve replied, though now it does reward you in a new way for completing them. Twitter user. In very arbitrary fashion, that doesn't actually change the game in any way. Maybe while having challenges open, you have a chance of getting ambushed by the wolf underlings. that could drop lore or wolf cred or rep or a new challenge, or maybe you could find wolf caches. When the only reason for doing old content that you have no real benefit for doing except because I said so, it's pretty terrible. Where Steve replied, "Friend, this is what it is. Sorry it's not all new modes and stuff, this is not that. That's in the works as well, but not Nightwave." Another thread had been started on the 28th with a user expressing his distaste for Battle Pass systems, saying, "Hate systems like this that are daily weekly chore list with limited time stuff. One more game I could enjoy as I liked, now more job-like. Can't play content I want and need to jump through hoops. Also, it's a Battle Pass minus the cost to buy in, but the story stuff is exciting." Steve replied. Alerts folded in there too. At this point, another person chimed in, "As someone who has limited time play, this kind of system is just disheartening and disappointing. I know I'm not the target audience, but it kind of discourages me because I know I'll never get rewards within the limited time set. Hashtag feels bad, man." Steve replied, "Few things we tried to help that a bit. Dailies will stack up, so if you jump in on the weekend, you'll have some to go through. Also, maxing out only requires about 60 to 65% of challenges without doing any convict captures." And after another user asked how far daily acts stack, Steve replied 3 days, which was answered beforehand. Now on the 28th of February, again after the launch, Steve said in response to the launch post, "Nightwave is live, a first for us, all our platforms at once." Goes into the codex after, "This is more than a battle pass, not monetized and makes alerts less pay to sleep." Not really. Hopefully the offerings rotation help alleviate that. On the 8th to the 10th of March was the following thread. Twitter user, "Man, seriously fuck you and your stupid Nightwave shit. I just had to play this stupid 1-hour survival and didn't even got the challenge for play with a friend quest. I swear I will never pay any further cent for your stupid game until you fix this. Rant over." Replied, "Thanks for your polite note. We are working on fixing this. If you have any extra details, that would help. We haven't got a solid reproduction for this one yet. Sorry." User replied, "Sorry for being grumpy right now, but my evening was a complete waste of time because of that. My guess, it is because of Xbox privacy settings. I will test again tomorrow and will update you with more details, but right now I missed out on 10,000 standing because of this. Yo Steve, again, sorry for being grumpy last time, but Nightwave really grind my gears. I replayed the Cuba Survival now 3 times with different settings, different friends, and clan members. I still didn't get the standing for the challenge. I wasted about 3 hours playtime yesterday, not even counting the time to find a suitable squad. And yes, it is a damn hassle to find a squad when you are not on North American servers. Don't get me wrong, I love Warframe and in the past I bought Platinum, extra to show my appreciation for this game, even when I normally wouldn't even need to invest any more money as I have enough plat, but already I really have to say that for me as a non-North American casual player, with a normal social life and a family, Nightwave in it would current got absolutely destroyed my passion for this game. Warframe is not fun for me anymore. I don't dislike the Battle Pass idea in general, I even quite like a lot of aspects, but the time investment needed to complete this is out of my range, especially when it's that buggy and don't get standing I farm. I'm normally not even such a crybaby on social media, but I really have to say that as it is right now, I am not willing to spend any more time or money on this beautiful game as long as it is unfair for casual players. I really hope the DE will change it in the future, but anyway. And Steve replied, "Understood. For what it's worth, Series 2 might help address some of this. Balance that better, but thanks and have a great day." On the 1st of March, Steve replied to the following post. "Loving the new Wolf stuff, but as someone who plays Warframe all day every day, I'd like you to know that the Socket 5 sculptures is pure bullshit. Your game only guarantees 1 drop per week, so it feels really bad having to buy them from other players." Agreed. Not sure if we have the time to solve, but agreed. In response to the reward of Umbra Former, a player tweeted on the 1st of March, "By the way, Steve, are you sure that a Umbra Former is a good thing to have in the game?" To which he replied, "I'm rarely sure about anything, but I think it's cool. Why?" There was no later response from Steve to the user's response. Once again, on the 1st of March, a player asked, "Will we get new Nightwave lore content each week?" People said that was how it worked, to drip feed new lore at a steady rate, but I wanted to confirm if that's okay. Steve replied, Lore is paced just a bit slower, but escalations of the new enemies, rotations of the axe. On the 17th of March, he replied within the following thread, "Man, I start to hate play Warframe and its new laundry list gameplay. You wish is that it's over soon, but is such a slog and you have no time for fun. How can you turn a good game so fast with a bad decision into a bad one?" Steve replied, "Tough to call it a bad decision, lots of people liking it." On the 14th of April, Steve responded to the following post about one of the rewards, the Saturn 6 Captura scene. Coming back to this, the original tweet said, "Was all expected to get the Saturn 6 Captura scene. Then I got it and entered it to find out it was some tiny courtyard, and that's it. I appreciate that you guys make free content like this, but come on, this Captura scene is just sad." Steve responded, "Sorry to disappoint you, made for the scene to load fast and use minimal space and nothing more. Like a photo backdrop, it's fake." On the 25th of April, after the launch of the final cinematic for the series, Steve tweeted out, "And yes, we have a list of don't do X for next Nightwave. We will do our best to make the next iteration better, Dreamers. P.S. I'm reading every response to this. Thank you." At this point, a player did respond asking, "Will you please answer whether Umbra format will be available outside of Nightwave? I just want it to be an optional time-gated event for me, a bonus rather than a gate locking me out of exclusive power items." And Steve replied, "I expect it will be available in the future, but it may be next Nightwave or something very uncommon, I'm afraid." Some of the responses to Steve's announcement of reading the post were the following. The first was from Better Name Pending with his thread. "Here's a brainstorming fart. More comfort zone time to allow people to get to the max rank, or just simply more points awarded versus needed. Some clear identifier of when the current Nightwave ends in-game. Let people re-roll objectives for a small amount of cred in case they don't have stable enough internet for 60 minutes, don't run eidolons, don't have friends, etc. Obvious, but more variety in tasks and rewards is the lifeblood of a system like this. Maybe throw in a specific and interesting secondary parameter to some challenges, like kill 500 enemies with players' least played primary weapon they own. That one would be hilarious. At the end of a Nightwave, assuming it will follow this mini-bossy formula, maybe add a static mini-bossy story conclusion mission so people could farm the elusive special items like the Wolf Sledge, maybe locked behind something like Allied Coordinates. Maybe some Nightwave-specific missions or conditions. Hard with the Wolf since I imagine Amalgam mobs are not ready, but if there's a Grenier Corpus-infested, corrupted, whatever adversary in the future, maybe put in an invasion with a faction plus Nightwave special enemies for some extra standing. Crazy one, get rid of the with a clanmate modifier, implement a clan Nightwave specifically with clan objectives depending on its size, but with a less crazy multiplier than decoration prices. Reward decorations, personal decorations, limited time boosters for clan members, maybe colors, maybe add a skin lab or enlarge the Tenno lab to include it with blueprints for helmets. Warframe and weapon skins, cosmetics in general you could research and unlock in Nightwave. And a less intrusive Nora. Don't have her say anything after completing objectives. Her lines are too few for the amount of challenges and it gets repetitive extremely fast. Play them on Nightwave rank up instead. Besides, she is a radio host, not yet another surrogate mother character there to pat you on the back every time you successfully play an emote. The Reaper Hunter adding? Honestly, there isn't much I find wrong with Nightwave. My only quote-unquote gripe is Wolf spawns even less often than Stalker, Grustrug, or Zanuka combined. My only recommendation is to keep Umbral format and the armor set in every season. That way players are already motivated to keep going. I'd like to see less complete X number of mission types and more goals that allow you to pick any mission. Kill Eximus, Bombards, Nullifiers, Sentients, etc. or add it to kill Eximus with heat damage. Rewards need to be less cosmetic and more mods, weapons, gear, exciting. I'd appreciate a catch-up mechanic for those who fell behind. I came in at week 3 so I was fine, but some people picked it up the last few days, but will only be able to get a few tiers. Also, I'd like more than 150 full world captures. Was a great introduction to the new system and I'm excited to see how it's built upon. Did feel odd being ranked 30 plus but only seeing a Wolf a few times up to that point. Also, the diaper run seemed out of place for challenges. The rewards were fun and I'm all for more world building. And Nightwave gave us cool incentives to play more often. but at times it felt like more of a chore than fun. I took a long break because I was so burnt out, with Nightwave plus Thermia fractures, and being so behind on standing made me not want to play at all, but it definitely had potential and I do prefer it to alerts. Two more quick ones being, I've stopped playing Warframe for now because of Nightwave. I can only play for an hour a night, so I could literally do nothing but Nightwave when I got on. Made it too stressful and no fun. I want to enjoy Warframe again. And actually, lastly this time, can solo players rejoice and complete the feat in a peaceful manner this time? With an attached praying gif. Now, continuing onward to forum posts and Reddit responses, the community was extremely responsive and vocal towards the ACT requirements over the series, with discussions around ACTs reaching the top of the Warframe subreddit multiple times throughout the series, and with counterposts doing the same. The most notable posts and discussions focused on Socket I-10, Survive 60 Minutes, and Kill or Capture X with friends or clanmate acts, but before we highlight some of that feedback, DE throughout the series on the 5th of March released a forum post titled General Nightwave Feedback, Challenges and Acts. It read, Nightwave is here in all of its Nora Night-backed glory, and there have been a lot of back and forth both on the forums and internally about the challenges and how to accrue Nightwave standing. Series 1 of Nightwave is our first attempt at this addition to Warframe, and we want to thank you all for sharing your thoughts and requests. We will be using this thread to gather feedback from everyone on all platforms. So at first pass, we are seeing some concerns rise to the top. I-10 challenges being too RNG dependent, survival challenges being too long in one sitting, and friend and clan challenges being, well, I have no friends, or my friends don't play Warframe. For some of these elite challenges, we were attempting to speak to the endurance runners, but it seems we may have missed the mark. If you liked it or didn't like it, comment below. In the end, we wanted to make a series of challenges that spoke to every type of player, but we do not want to do so at the cost of enjoyment overall. We have seen players responding with some possible solutions that would make these challenges more piecemeal, balance the resources needed to complete some challenges, and assess social requirements to get your goodies. We will be applying what we have learned to Nightwave Series 2, but can only improve with constructive, detailed posts about what you like or didn't like about acts. Knowing what you like is just as important as what you don't like. I will now highlight and share a number of feedback posts from the feedback thread and some of the notable threads from the Warframe subreddit, as well as some of the responses. To begin, the first forum feedback post follows. It was nice having something that was more than the usual rotation C restart structure. I hope more challenges are available to fill the elite role for challenges. Will there be dedicated missions like Syndicate dailies to be more interesting than capturing hundreds of fugitive groups? This would be a cool way to have dedicated spawns for the wolf through some additional linear grind. The majority of the playbase who will participate in this system place challenges like 10 perfect conservations as elite. I'm not trying to be rude, just realistic and observant. Trying to fill everyone's niche is impossible due to the variety of difficulties people play at, and the overwhelming majority of this game's player base being highly casual. Again, not necessarily bad, just the target audience. If elite challenges are to be truly elite, we should have more challenges available so that casual players can get 30 easily for the Umbra Former, like they want, and the experienced players can reach the same spot efficiently as they should. If the challenges are too hard or time-consuming for the majority, there will be complaints until it's mind-numbingly easy. See the Profit Taker with Repeller Systems, Vauban Prime's crafting cost in 2016, attempts at the HEMA reduction in 2016-2017, focus grind since update 18, void RNG complaints for years, etc. Trust me, I used to be one of those people to complain about grind. I have since learned that the proper grind in Warframe is what keeps the game engaging, and although nothing is perfect, less grind will ultimately lead to less gameplay and more content drought. With this in mind, and from my observations throughout the years, the majority don't want grind and want to be handed the items almost immediately. This is quite clear seeing some complaints on the first day of a week-long challenge. It is nice to see an attempt from the development team, and thank you for the transparency. I and many others await more challenges to the Nightwave system. I do hope DE goes back to the drawing board and tries again with this try to cater to everyone here and there style of challenges. It's nice to see an attempt from the development team, it's just a shame that the community is quick to denounce any attempt at more gameplay. There is a reason why we have long lengths of content drought, and it's because we ask for it. The next response started by quoting another user, which said, Make the time wave limited missions cumulative so we don't have to do it in one go, like capture target. Exactly this. Most of the challenges are already cumulative and casual friendly. What I've heard from my clan, friends, and general community is that 1 hour is simply unreasonable to expect from a lot of people who have shaky connections or time constraints. If the survivals were cumulative, it would reward people who can't do endurance runs just as much as people who can, just in smaller bites. As to the friend and clan challenges, I adore these. There currently is no incentive to really use your clan or friends list, to reach out to people on either list, and these have made a marked change in both for me. I'm seeing more conversation taking place in clan chat, I'm getting more interaction from my friends list than I have in years, and clan members are even branching out into alliance chat for the first time. I do understand that it puts a hardship on people who don't have subscriptions on console or don't have stable enough connections to participate in this one, and I'm honestly not sure how to compensate for that, but I truly do like the friend and clan challenges. Another one. Endurance runners do this stuff anyhow because they find it fun, as much as it may bewilder the rest of us. I think their requests for acknowledgement are based more on wanting something to be consistently beneficial about it, not random one-off challenges to do what they do anyhow that the rest of the player base will find absurd. Spending 60 minutes in one mission doing the same thing is boring for the majority of people, and you guys know that, because you have repeatedly made choices to try and dissuade people from doing it, and have generally been extremely against giving scaling rewards or such for it. I think challenges like this one would be served by having there be actual alerts tied to it. Have an elite alert available for the whole week of a high starting level Kuva survival, for example with the inability to activate life support towers. Cut out the bulk of the twiddling and have people face off against the end stretch. There are 2 more posts from the forums before we reach the final post and continue on to the Reddit posts. The first of those being, take into consideration that the community you have fostered over the years is one that wants everything handed to them in a silver plate, without any kind of real investment on their part. 1 hour is not a lot of time at all. Personally, I appreciate the incentive you gave us this week for both survivals. Thanks a lot. We are few in between, and the people that I mentioned above are usually way louder. Having diversity on the challenges is a great way as long as you make a good percentage of the challenges skippable, as in being able to get all tier rewards for doing the majority while at the same time skipping some you don't personally like. Then I feel you should continue that way. By all means, please make the elite challenges challenging. Not everything needs to be a participation award. The second last post, while long, is a combination of 2. Acts are not a replacement to alerts. Their original structure in missions as these minor side challenges, a bonus, was fine, because that's all they could do. They cannot carry the weight of replacing the role of alerts and be the main and only focus for this new system. Honestly, just get alerts back alongside acts. The ticking clock pressure on people, preying on the common weakness of fear of missing out, as we look at the long tier list and see the limited creds and realize it cannot reward us with the amount we originally gained with alerts, makes most of the players, new or veteran alike, feel depressed by the Sisyphean task ahead of us for the coming months, nay, for the rest of Warframe. Acts have no unifying theme. They feel forced from the narrative Nora gives. If we don't have alerts, then creds need to be more reliable, and we have a repeat from when the planes launched, when you later patched each stage to give a rotation of a reward, instead of only at the end of the bounty. So please patch the act to give something to make the task feel less unrewarding, and the amount of work put in needs to be proportional to both the amount of standing given and whatever else concrete is given. He continues by quoting himself from another post. How they initially framed the pitch sold to us how Nightwave will be in improvements, was that this entire system would be more story-driven, have more meaning, be more reliable, and friendly to people with lives. But then we only get vague nonsense, promises from Nora of telling us something while putting us to do house chores. It's like a quest giver giving us a chore list for cleaning their house, while every once in a while telling us that we are helping with a grand fight against the baddies outside in the narrative happening out there in the world, while we slave on these menial checklists wondering if we might peek some of that action outside the window. Just so lifeless, boring, inane, repetitive, shallow. This format was always inoffensive when it was in its proper place. The original affinity challenges in missions as a side bonus we could do for extra affinity. Who in their right mind thought it would work brilliantly, as the main and only means of progressing through rewards and story. It's even more divorced from the story and meaningful action than the original alerts, which had potential to be made more immersive and story-driven, as you could have made encrypted distress signals from prisoners for rescue alerts, spies relaying info on spotting high-value targets for capture missions, Corpus Generals calling all freelancers about a bounty on Grineer aggressors for evasion missions, etc. Then maybe either double lengths but half the frequency of alerts, or turn all alerts into cooldown ones like IO10 hunts and Clem survivals, with Nitane having a 6 to 12 hour cooldown before you can repeat it, Nanospores having 1 hour, Oxium 3 hour, Former 3 days, Potatoes a week maybe. They exacerbated the sense of having no progression with this system too, as now you do these boring chores with no reward. Over time, finish one chore or act, get a bit of standing, but not enough for a tier rank up, so no reward. Then keep doing them, then reach a tier rank up, and your first impression is a lousy sticker. A participation award. A sigil that doesn't even allow you to earn standing passively. Standing doesn't do anything for us. It's just this abstract signal that you are slowly moving along a painful line. Wolf Creds are rewarded only on some tiers and not others. It's just so unrewarding. Anyone remember when the Plains of Eidolon first launched? People complained of a lack of reward as you did stages, then only at the end of the entire bounty got something. They luckily patched that to reward on each stage, and at least the stages are built to feel like you were doing something concrete, such as sabotaging supplies, capturing high-value targets, rescuing prisoners, culling Grineer forces. Nightwave needs serious rework. It feels so incomplete and half-baked, like the devs felt pressure to release something as they have been delaying most of their main lines and other advertised content for a few months now. And the last forum post was, I don't like this system at all. It's far too heavily designed to make people feel like they must complete the challenges each week or miss out on the big prize. As an alert replacement, it's absolutely terrible, and it really should have been added on top of the now previous system instead, even if some specific alerts, such as the ones for potatoes, may need to be removed to keep the supply of stuff somewhat constant. But it was nice to see a good alert pop up during a season and always be able to jump into a public lobby to complete it and get the reward. What I think would fix a lot of the issues with the current setup is if the tiered rewards were entirely removed and put in the Cred store instead, and have the challenges give the Cred directly. To keep supply of the items the same, the store could easily have limits, like you can only buy one Umbra format for the season. On top of that, a better way to slowly open the rewards would be simply to have the store unlock more, or change its inventory weekly. That way, people would have more of a choice in what to get, and those that miss a lot of the challenges could still get something they want, while someone that does complete all of them could clean out the entire store. If this was done, it would change how at least I see challenges, turn the ones that seem fun and interesting into something I'll find worth doing, rather than having the lot as a list of challenges that need to be completed to make the 30k standing required for 1 week. It would also help in such a case that a player returns near the end of the event. While they could be unable to get the top tier reward, they could at least get something they see as worthwhile. Hell, it could even make for a weekly nightmare challenge that could be ludicrously hard for the people that want to do such things. Now, the first Reddit post is one of the ones that comments on the feedback and criticism, with the title, "The Nightwave criticisms make me want to bash my head into a wall." I was already annoyed by how there were 1 or 2 threads on the front page constantly with the same complaints about Nightwave, but now I've seen someone describe Nightwave as an even more abusive and player-binding system, which is just so far removed from reality. I felt like there needs to be some sort of counterbalance to the mindless drivel that often ends up being Nightwave complaints. First of all, I agree that Nightwave could use some minor tweaks, mainly making the Wolf Cred rewards larger, putting the last one and the last triple former reward more to the front, and changing some of the Wolf Cred costs to benefit new players more. Additionally, a very select few of challenges are bad for both newer players and veterans, like having to guild something. With that said, almost every Nightwave complaint falls into one of the 2 categories that are ultimately related of fucking course. 1. The system creates anxiety, isn't fun because of time aspect. 2. The individual challenges are too hard or too time intensive for new players or players not spending a lot of time. I think both of these complaints are unreasonable and stem from a misunderstanding of the Nightwave system and rewards. You're only required to clear 60% of the challenges before taking into account fugitives to reach rank 30 by the end. That means you can float 13,000 standing every week, never see a single fugitive, and still make it. I genuinely don't understand how people feel anxious about not doing single weekly challenges knowing this. I have ignored challenges I just didn't want to do, but could have, simply because once you're aware how the system works, there is no way hitting rank 30 is a problem for you unless you're a player in Category 2. As for the second point, this is a little harder to address, but this is where I think people genuinely don't understand how rewards are structured and honestly seem to feel a little entitled. Most of the last few rewards, in fact all 8 except for the aforementioned Wolf Creds and Triple Former, matter gameplay-wise. Umbra Former is only useful to min-max builds, which is only required for content that literally does not exist yet. Everything else is cosmetic. This is intentional to give people with lower time investment the rewards that are relevant for them, while still giving veterans who can easily get to rank 30 some bonus stuff. So in essence, I don't understand why people who are new or who only play for an hour or so per week, because let's be honest, the vast majority of challenges, and especially 60% of the challenges can easily be done and even more with casual playtime, think they need all the rewards, but even less, why they think they should get all the rewards. In what world does it make sense to simultaneously acknowledge that you spend far less time than anyone else on a game but expect to get the same rewards? This is not how it works anywhere in any game that I'm aware of, and for good reason. And this isn't abusive, it's rewarding players who play more with more. And in this case, DE even went out of the way, again aside from 2 blunders in my opinion, to reward players who play more with rewards that are only relevant to them anyway, which is the very opposite. So I don't know, maybe I've misunderstood some people on here, but some of those who I discussed this with have been so spoiled by DE, their entitlement was almost unbelievable. Please tell me if you don't think this encompasses your own problems with Nightwave. One of the most notable responses was something that had been mentioned in this video beforehand, and that was, I just want to point out, since this keeps getting thrown around over and over again, that, quote, you only need to do 60% of the challenges, and quote, is actually wrong. Unless my math is off, it's more around getting 70%, not counting fugitives. Another person replying via their own long-form post, while I see your point and see the points of many people who are both in the too easy and too hard camps, I should point out the problem in my mind falls back to the base premise. Nightwave was meant for replacing alerts, making it so that temporal uncertainty did not limit a player. As I understand it, that was the whole point of Nightwave in what was said to us. As my point of view, who is someone who is doing the quest on a daily basis, trying to get all weeklies and doing the math to account for the weeks I will miss, and those things I can't do because life gets in the way, it is an interesting challenge for sure. My problem with it is this content wasn't proposed as challenge content, it was proposed as something to let new players get resources and materials in a manner more fair than the previous alert system. I don't see anything in your argument or those that I've seen in the comments that make this post any less entitled than those who complain about it being too hard. In fact, going back to what I've seen and read, those people who expected easier content seem to be the ones with backing because, again, alerts were the easy mode for the game for a new player. In the eyes of the new player, who is the exact person who should be farming random helmets, 19 and other resources, which are now locked behind Wolf Creds, this system is still broken to the extreme. Now from a practical standpoint, I work single job with long hours, and still manage to get the weeklies in barring encountering endurance runs which glitch out. I agree it is possible for many people who can try and commit some time each week to burn through these in a few hours, again barring those which enforce duration and thus rather than difficulty alone, also enforce network stability between you and the host. Which surely hasn't been a problem in this game. Sarcasm right there. But if you want the too long don't read, the other viewpoint of this is that Warframe has tried to be different, but the game increasingly falls into the same money-driven mindset of many other MMOs, where going further and further down the path of daily quests tend to be a death sentence, it being a stopgap to keep the more loot treadmill-driven players playing in hopes that the whales will still want to come back for the next major content drop. I know most of my clan up and left until Railjack comes in and gets a few patches. Really, I can't blame them. For most of us, the Umbra Former is nice, but not useful, even from a mid-max standpoint. Chances are we've been there and done that, and worked around the need for it with regular Former. Your argument that seems to be that Umbra Former should be gated so only mid-maxers can get it seems pretty silly to me. There are only a few frames that need to get it for builds, but it doesn't really hurt any frame. Maybe things will change with one extra Umbra polarity slot being in a frame, but I feel like it won't make that much of a difference from the numbers. Once we get more, perhaps that changes. But that implies putting up with more copies of Nightwave, things that run to fill the droughts between major or even minor feature releases. Meaning if we don't speak up now, then I imagine the system will be expecting players to play at least a good few hours a week every week for the rest of Warframe's life, which with such a tactic in place, I imagine will be much shorter, as the players after difficult content will find increasingly less common players coming in to replace those who burnt out on this sort of tactic. In response, someone said, "Exactly. I've been involved with a lot of MMOs. When a game starts to weaponize fear of missing out via dailies, it's a very bad sign. It means the devs think they have a retention problem, whether or not they really do, and worse, don't have any good ideas on how to fix it. I don't know, let's just design something where they need to log in and do a specific thing on a regular basis, or they'll miss out on some reward." Is like the first idea that gets thrown out during a brainstorm session, and then everyone goes around in circles for hours trying to come up with anything else. But there's just no other system that gets consensus from both dev and marketing. The next post to highlight came in on the 5th of March 2019 on Reddit, and was titled, "DE, please listen to the feedback, tone down Nightwave, don't let it dominate the game." I know it's only week 2, I know we haven't seen much opportunity to change the brand new system, but as it is, Nightwave sucks. I don't like to be mean or even blunt like this, but I love Warframe, and Nightwave is very quickly turning into a huge time sink and an absolutely fun destroying aspect of the game. Since its release, there have been very few positive threads or even comments about Nightwave, and I'm really just sitting here with my fingers crossed, hoping it gets fixed. Not changed, fixed. 1. Nightwave has replaced alerts. This seemed positive for me initially. Rewards are now more stable. Each week we have a set of helmets and mods to choose from, as well as consistent 19, Vauban, and potatoes if nothing takes your fancy. However, Wolf Creds are gained far too slowly. If a couple of things you want show up in one week, you're screwed. New players lose out on the slow addition of free helmets that alerts would bring, allowing little customization without monetary investment that new players seem to enjoy. Instead, they're cornered into spending most of their points on necessities like Nitane to build many frames. Some of those rewards are still double locked. Oh boy, I just bought a Nezha or a Naros helmet blueprint with a Wolf Creds it took me 2 weeks to earn. I'll enjoy crafting that a month from now when I can buy enough Nitane for it. Previously, alerts did similar, however you weren't focused to choose one reward or the other. It was just a matter of being online at lucky times. 2. Alerts were the most basic form of quest for newbies. Now the new system shuts them out. New players suffer greatly from the new Nightwave system. On top of rewards being a huge grind instead of single mission reward interactions, the new mini-boss, the Wolf, is more likely to hit and run new players than be an interesting aspect of the game. The challenges are incredibly difficult, such as 1 hour in Kuva survival without life support. We had a mastery rank 6 in our party on my first attempt today, and he struggles to navigate the fortress and keep up with the Kuva towers, split the enemy spawns so much that our run ended at 20 minutes. He doesn't know any better. This is just a regular weekly mission thing now. Many of these elite challenges require game modes that demand maxed out gear, optimized builds, hell, even just access to augments and game modes that early mid players simply don't have. Yet on the other side, you have vets sitting in a 60-minute mission watching Netflix because the challenge is so fucking dull. It's awful. Nothing is more demoralizing to new players than having rewards dangled in their face and no reasonable way to get them without being completely taxed and babysat week in and week out. 3. Was rehashing old content to an insane degree. Where some dailies and weeklies are too hard for new players, DE has completely ignored the fact that 90% of their player base is being forced into completely unrewarding dated content. Almost everyone I have communicated with playing these missions on public is saying the same thing. Fuck Cetus bounties. I don't need anything from these. Okay, you want people doing bounties? Make it 3 for the weekly so it can be done in around 30 minutes, not take 8 that takes well over an hour with forced time gates of liberate the camp and protect the vault. Most of us are done with that. We grinded when the planes came out, we grinded ghouls, Plaguestar, unvaultings. Stop forcing us to grind bounties that reward us with 0 for a percent of progression to maybe rewards in the Nightwave system. Why do we need 9 invasions? That's so excessive. Sure, a new player might be like, okay, invasions isn't something I do a lot, here's a motivator to do some. A vet, however, gets stuck in 9 missions. They get their 1000th Fieldron on a pile, a stock of a gun built 3 years ago, literally nothing for 1 to 2 hours of grinding. Again, just to build up the time sink of a system. It cannot have not been considered to make it 3 invasions. 1 full invasion with a reward is plenty of time, and a reminder of that content, not 9. Last week's challenges were a fuck ton of missions, where a majority of us got 0 out of it and were left standing there with our dicks in our hands, questioning, wait, so is that it? Most of us never saw the new mini-boss. Most of us only got 1 Wolf Cred drop, only to realize the only rewards we're looking for are 10 weeks away. A lot of people try to argue it would be less tedious if we broke up the mission, so what do we get this week? 2 60-minute quests that have to be done in 1 sitting. A tedious, unrewarding middle finger from the devs who have themselves said that they know something like this is not enjoyable at all. If this is going to be the new standard method of daily weekly grinds, it needs to be toned down a ton. It's been less than a week and people are already saying how burnt out they are on the grind of Nightwave. How much it drowns out any content they want to do because a timer's ticking down on how long they have to complete this shit. Don't let Nightwave force players to invest too much time, or you will find players dropping the game entirely. It is completely against what makes Warframe great, the self-managed goals, the endless options, and instead narrows you down to a few very dull options that burn you out faster than before. Nightwave should take a permanent back seat, be quests that can be done in relatively regular playstyle, or at least take an hour or 2 out of what the player chooses to spend their time on. It shouldn't be the new permanent, check Nightwave to see how I'm playing today. Now, a few replies to this post do follow. Reply 1. In my opinion, Nightwave needs to be more focused on how you play and less of what you play. Right now, an hour of survivals is not something that I really want to play. However, the daily missions to get 150 cold or blast kills changed the way I played those missions. For the first time in a while, I went into my boar's mods and changed the damage type. I played around with some mods that I hadn't touched in a while and got to see how a cold built boar would work. I still got to play the mission I wanted, but the way in which I did it was significantly different. If DE could expand that kind of feeling into weeklies and elite weeklies, I think they would have something really special on their hands. The second reply. You raise some good points, and I agree that DE should be receptive to feedback and willing to adjust the structure of challenges and rewards, looking at you 60-minute survival missions without life support. That said, I think there are a few things you might have overlooked. In terms of overall game design, I would say that replacing luck with limited choice is actually a quite substantial step forward, and as far as I'm aware, was a core part of how Nightwave was put together. It may look restrictive from the top, but in practice the end result is fairly similar. Only rather than doing every alert for something you don't have but only use a fraction of, players will need to actually pick and choose the cosmetics and special weapons they want. It's also worth noting that the helmets cost 35 creds and a 5-pack of 19 costs 15, meaning that you'll never be stuck with a recipe you can't use due to 19 supply, unless you use it on something else of course. I'll agree that the Wolf needs some balance adjustments, and the actual difficulty of some of the challenges has been decidedly wonky, but the overall system is actually quite fair to new players. Even if they can only complete the daily challenges, which have all been dead easy for all but the absolute newest of players so far, they will still get some quite decent rewards, such as 3 former, 2 weapon slots, 100 creds, among assorted other cosmetics. And if they can manage the weekly challenges, which haven't been too much harder, with a few notable exceptions as well, they'll earn enough standing to reach rank 28 by the end, netting every reward except the Umbra former and an armor set. Beyond that, however, one should keep in mind that dangling a challenge that a player has no reasonable hope of completing in front of their face isn't necessarily bad design. A challenge is only challenging if there's a possibility of failure. If getting to rank 30 is easily attainable for even relatively new players, the system ceases to be, to use the industry term, aspirational and becomes just another checklist of things to do every evening. The entire point of the Elite Weeklies is that they are out of the reach of new players, giving them goals to strive for and the promise of greater rewards when they do. The fact that some of them are less hard and more annoying, particularly for veterans, is an entirely different problem, and one that I hope is addressed quickly and effectively, but the fundamental design behind them is still quite solid. It is true the new system involves a lot of replaying older content, but so did alerts, so it isn't really fair to hold that up as if it's something new. It also sounds like you and a lot of people aren't treating the weeklies as well weeklies, and are just grinding them out all in one go. If you stretch them out a bit, you might find the older content a lot less grating. Aside from that, the simple fact is that DE has to design systems like this with the players of every level in mind, and that includes players who haven't gotten everything possible out of invasions and those who still need to grind bounties regardless of weeklies, and players who enjoy those mission types even if they don't want or need the reward. Excluding them from the system just because some veterans don't have any reason to play them would weaken it as a means of pushing newer players towards unfamiliar content, or giving more intermediate players ideas on new things to do. As for veterans, the missions themselves might not offer new rewards, but the system itself does, which might not be a perfect solution, but it is, at least, sustainable, and frankly, that's better than nothing. The third reply. Just throwing in my own 2 cents, I think the system is a step in the right direction. It removes RNG, it's more thematic, and it provides options. However, and this is a big one, the implementation needs to change. The suggestion that missions don't expire would be a massive help to the experience. Wolf Creds also need to be far more available than they currently are. And finally, the fourth highlighted reply to this post saying, I agree entirely. On release day and the day after, there were quite a few positive threads and comments about how there was new exciting stuff to try, but anyone doing even a little bit of figuring about the amount of grind, tedium, and negative feelings about daily weekly chores to do, quickly realized the new system is just plain not fun. I don't expect everything handed to me at once, but of course, the fanboys will bring up that strawman in every single thread about this. I want to play a video game, and not feel like I'm a child again being told to do my chores every night. The next post to highlight was posted on the 19th, which will skip us ahead a bit and move us back to the initial feedback period, which was the first couple of weeks. Obviously, there was more feedback over the course of the series, but I'm hoping to collect some of those posts in part 2, alongside the Wolf of Saturn 6 feedback, comments, and all of that jazz. But anyway, this was the post made on the 19th of March. It was titled, Don't Ask Warframe to be World of Warcraft. It continued, every week people flip out about the weekly elite challenges because I can't do it, but I really want the reward. Having been a part of the growth of several MMOs, I don't want the game to start catering to the I can't do it, but I still want the rewards crowd. Games like this are supposed to reward time invested. If you can't invest the time, don't expect the same rewards of those that do. The casual WoW players begged and pleaded for access to endgame content and loot. They got it. Now the game's progression is completely broken as a result. Players who do the Warfronts, which are no-effort AFK fests, get the same item level gear as heroic rating. There are so many catch-up gearing systems in WoW now, the loot chase has become totally pointless. Most Nightwave rank rewards beyond level 14 aren't very useful for newer or more casual players anyway. If you're not constantly rolling ribbons, you don't need 40k Kuva. If you haven't spent the Endo to max out your Umbra mods, you don't need Umbral Former. The cosmetic armor pieces don't even look that cool, though that's subjective. I'm not saying some of these complaints are without merit. I think the challenge to do Profit Taker sucks for Switch players, and the 60-minute survival missions blew. The system is by no means perfect. I'm also not some elitist hardcore no-lifer. According to Steam, I play about 10 hours per week and have 900 hours played total. The elite challenges have not been a problem for me. Some have been a challenge for me, but I'm pretty sure that's why they are called challenges. Now, a few notable responses to this follow in trend of this video. Reply 1. I haven't thrown my hat into the ring with this whole Nightwave discussion, but I would wager that if we front-loaded the Wolf Cred slots and maybe Former, we would not be seeing this kind of pushback. The only reason there is panic and hysteria is because the mythical Umbra Former is locked behind optimizing your weekly gameplay, a very significant piece of gear we haven't seen yet, and have no reports if we'll ever see it again or soon. If we looked at fashion as subjective rewards and guns, Former, and slots as objective, then having the objective rewards in the first part of the Nightwave track would relieve a lot of the feels bad from this new system. This reply sparked much discussion, and the following responses do continue said discussion. One of the core tenets of game design is that you get the behavior from players that you incentivize. So if you offer a ladder for players to climb and a bunch of optional rungs to climb with each week, a lot of them are going to do whatever it takes to climb as many as possible. The risk you take with a system like this is that climbing those rungs might not be fun, and players can resent that you're making them do this to get their rewards. A designer can look at a large pool of objectives and intend that players will only do the ones that they want, but that misunderstands how players will respond. The best designed events are going to structure their objectives and reward pacing so that as much of this content feels as fun as possible. Different players will have different tolerances, and having a good mix of activities is a positive. But there are also a lot of lessons for DE to take away from this, and saying, I feel too pressured to do everything is valid and valued feedback. And the response to that response was, I agree wholeheartedly. With the push for endgame being focused on maximizing power creep, I see the fear people have on missing out on important gameplay mods or things like Umbral Former. I think having aesthetics backloaded on Nightwave would allow those to play Nightwave for important gameplay elements and wouldn't discourage the pursuit of fashion. The recommendation I love is the idea that challenges unlock weekly, but don't go away so that if someone steps away from the game, they can invest the time and actually catch up without having to hunt wolves or a similar grindy catch-up mechanic. The final response to the original thread was, there is one quality to Warframe that I really appreciate. Even if you play 2 hours per week, the game still allows you to get all relevant rewards. Sure, you'll progress much slower than hardcore players, but ultimately, there were pretty much no races against time. Well, outside of events obviously, but those are rare, and thus I can tolerate them. I feared Barrow would become the race against time, and it could if he'd bring new useful stuff every 2 weeks. The ducat grinds would quickly become a chore. And Nightwave can easily become a race against time too. It is probably too early to say, as this first season is probably kind of experimental, but I'm not very excited about Nightwave forcing me to play more than I would have preferred. The next thread had been posted on the 5th of March, which does return us to our timeline, and shows us just how common Nightwave discussion, complaints, and feedback were. Now all it is a simple image and a title saying Nightwave threads. A nice little bit of data, but this post had 2,571 points as of writing this script, and is one of the most upvoted posts on the Warframe subreddit. There had even been a post made on the 18th of March, just a bit later. Can we just get voice your own opinion about current Nightwave weekly sticky, so this sub won't be flooded with identical threads again? The post creator expanded. As in the title, yes, former challenge is stupid, guilding is annoying but doable, something orb fighters time gated. We get it, all of us. There's no need for 250 similar posts per day. I beg of you mods, either put it all in one big thread written in green font, or make a new Nightwave flare so I can filter it out. Besides, let's be honest, 90% of them are not even discussions, just complaining about time gating. Think of the newbies, and this is my genius idea how to fix Nightwave. And yes, I'm asking for real. Browsing this sub isn't fun when half of new is filled with the same complaints. Now, another of the posts on the 5th of March actually had a developer response, and it starts to conclude this video. The post itself was titled, Nightwave and alerts just aren't similar enough for one to replace the other. Alerts were great for new players and boring for vets. Nightwave is exciting for vets and borderline impossible for new players. It read, when I see 2 sorties with friends, I think, ah shit, better look for a friend. When a new player sees that, they first have to look up what a sortie even is, then make it all the way through the star chart to Sedna, then complete all quest lines up to the War Within to gain access to the sortie, then they have to pray that they have enough gear and skill experience to actually complete the sortie. That's a fucking undertaking, and it's pretty much the same for all elite acts. Some of the other level acts are just bad for new players too. Meanwhile, they aren't constantly getting opportunities to grab Endo and materials and alert and nightmare mods from alerts because alerts no longer exist. Both systems have their merits, but they serve very different purposes and really are not interchangeable. Now, the developer response had come after a few replies from players, with their chain following. As a Mastery Rank 4 who is loving this game, the new system honestly seems like a bad replacement. Before I could hop onto an alert and go to wherever, unless it was above me, and try something new. It allowed me to participate in content I had not seen before and earn things to explore. What the fuck is an Argon Crystal? Yesterday, I went to LFG chat to try and hop on a sortie, only to have it explained to me by an extremely patient Tenno that I was not ready to do that. So that ended it for me. I got 1k for spraying a glyph, and maybe a few other things, but total for me now is like 3 to 6k, which means I actually don't get a damn thing. So overall, I agree with this post. I'm not feeling like the new system is helpful for me as a starter. Is it supposed to be? Different discussion, I guess. But it hasn't been very fun. Things like kill 20 enemies while sliding, keep me around, play for an hour, is not really as fun. Use it too. Thank you for your honest beginner feedback. I agree wholeheartedly. I am higher mastery, but I am hating this system. The hour mission would be fine, even for beginners, if they were in smaller chunks like 4 15 minutes or 2 30 minutes. It would bring you to some new content. I love the old alert system myself because it was like, 19 extract. Ooh, okay, we'll do that, and boom, got a reward. This one, you have many missions just to get enough to purchase the things you are wanting. User 3 replied, I don't think the hate is well placed on the system. I think the system is fine for the most part. It's the challenges that need refinement, in the rewards too. For example, I never really cared about most alerts unless it was some nightmare mod I still missed, auras, or the very rare Cranier Galleon alert before the index. Endo is nice I guess, but the amount you can get from the alerts was always minimal. Though I'm not the best example since I've been playing for over 6 years, and as such, have little use for Endo outside of the occasional Riven. I think they should change the challenges to be 1. Better tiered so there's something for all players, new and old. 2. They should give some common reward along the reputation, say 20 to 30k credits or Endo or whatever, just so people that can't complete all of the challenge have still something going for them. 3. Spread the creds more evenly in the progression, so new players that will most likely be looking out for 19, which is the only progression blocker, can reliably get some without having to be blocked for potentially weeks. 4. Take a hard look at the challenges to make them more balanced in effort and reward, and for the love of God, avoid like the plague anything that can be trolled. 5. Be more lenient either in reputation rewards or episode duration, or both. As it stands now, if you want to get higher ranked rewards, it takes a lot of dedication over a long period of time, and it really punishes missing content, for whatever reason. That's a bad scheme. You don't want to punish people for not playing, you want to reward them for playing, which is why I really like the daily reward system. It's not like other games where if you miss a streak, you lose your progress for the only interesting rewards. I'm sure she is busy as hell giving the upcoming release, but I think Rebecca really needs to look at the feedback on the new system, because it is good and refreshing, but it's critical that the feedback gets acted upon while the system is still in infancy. Where DE Rebecca replied, Yep, we are compiling, reading, and have a bit more to share here, to which links back to that aforementioned Nightwave feedback post that we have already covered a few posts from. Now the second to last post was the following, and once again was made on the 5th of March under the title, DE, you have created trolling on demand, hotfix the goddamn Nightwave Kuva missions immediately. The post read, not because it's difficult, because it isn't, not because it's tedious, but it is. Because you designed a fucking challenge that people can troll and force you to fail. 55 fucking minutes in and the arsehole I just blacklisted and reported runs straight up to a life support and poof goes an hour of my day. Do you not understand how demoralizing this shit is? It was a chore to do the hour-long mission in the first place, and then I have to sit here afterwards already worn out and somehow scrape together the energy to do it all over again, knowing that at any time another arsehole can just run up and force a fail again. Forcing people to team up with a clanmate or friend instead of just using the matchmaking you built into the damn game was a minor inconvenience, but shit like this should not stand. Now the final post to highlight about the community's reaction to the axe was made on the 7th of March under the title, I want to see DE Rebecca and DE Megan clear the Elite Weekly Nightwave Survival Challenges on primetime tomorrow. This post, similar to the one I've previously mentioned, gained at the moment of writing the script 2,809 points and once again is one of the most upvoted posts on the Warframe subreddit. Now DE Rebecca did reply saying the following, a few ways to look at this. 1. DE swung too far and should change it. You'd be right, we are going to be wholesale changing the axe that flew too close to Endurance Runner eliteness. Because all platforms are completely synced for this, we are going to be waiting for Series 2 to smash axe. Not perfect if you want the challenge before Sunday, but luckily they also aren't mandatory. If anyone has interpreted that as we aren't going to change anything, that's simply a mistake. Having us play our own game for an hour isn't suffering. Failure would suck, and in this case, it'll just rank up my missions failed from 278 to 279. But that's obviously not the point. There is a desire to see us hoisted by our own self-inflicted hubris of asking for 60 consecutive minutes with high stakes for failure. Which we get, and as in point 1, is when we change things that make Elite way too tough. 3. Stay tuned for my own completion results because I'm absolutely doing these on the weekend. I plan on killing 3 birds with 1 stone, which she later did. While DE did not or could not make major changes to the Nightwave system, according to a post made on the 8th of March that relayed comments by DE Megan on a Nintendo Switch livestream, they could make minor changes or swap out acts with already existing acts. This occurred on the 26th of March within Hotfix 24.5.5 and with DE commenting on the swap in a forum post. The Nightwave Elite Weekly that required 40 waves of defense has been swapped with Kill 100 Eximus after we received bug reports of the 40 waves not counting in Orokin Derelict defense. If you experienced this bug while trying to complete the defense weekly, we are sorry for the serious frustration this has caused. We have reviewed other challenges as well to help prevent something like this from happening again. On the 5th of April, within update 24.6 on PC, it was also reported by players that DE reduced the requirements for 2 Nightwave acts. The two being I-10 sockets from 5 to 3, and sortie completions from 5 to 3. This was not mentioned within the patch notes, but players quickly found out when the console versions of the game still had to complete 5 sorties and socket 5 I-10s. In regards to that aforementioned DE Megan community post, a few comments should be highlighted based on their score. The first, no way to make changes across 4 platforms for an event that's already live, makes sense. Of course, if they're going to keep doing simultaneous Nightwaves, that means every season will be like this feedback-wise. The following is a few replies to that. That's true. I hope they don't make the next season challenges ridiculously easy because of the feedback, so then we have to put up with an entire season of people complaining it's too easy, and they hit max rank for the week in under an hour, etc. User 2. I'd wager we'll have far less complaints about it being too easy at least. And a now deleted user said something along the followings, but a section of it was quoted. We have veterans voicing complaint about it being too hard, where user 4 had replied, we do? I've never heard complaints about difficulty, just about tedium. Lastly, user 5, as a veteran, my complaint is that it's too hard for newbies, too tedious for veterans, and is incredibly trollable and subject to external events. You also had people commenting on the rollout of Nightwave and DE's change policy for it, saying, I thought it was kind of neat to update all platforms simultaneously. This is a pretty solid reason to never do that again. Warframe relies on iterating quickly, pushing out a 10-week cycle you can't steer with some poorly thought out mechanics suck. Buckle up for 8 weeks of challenges that could be worse than weeks 1 and 2, where someone replied. Hopefully this gets people off their backs about crossplay. One of the biggest bonuses of PC is quick patches and changes, and having to be synced to all consoles ruins that. PC loses our quick patches and consoles lose their beta testers. Where someone replied, as a console player, I wholeheartedly disagree. It fucking sucks having to wait an entire month or more for content. By the time we get to play it, it already feels old. It's already been experienced by other players and discussed online, and it genuinely makes me feel excluded from the community. What if I want to be a part of that beta test? What if I want to experience that excitement of fresh content while it's still fresh? Synchronized updates needs to work. Yeah, it sucks this time, but I feel like they have to keep trying. I'm tired of feeling like a second-class player. Where a user replied, you are not second-class, you are the one that gets everything nice and polished. Us PC players are the ones who have to slog through the beta of everything. In exchange, we get it sooner. That is the price we pay. If you find the sacrifice to be too great, you could always just join us on PC. Synchronized updates don't need to work, and they physically can't work due to the way updates work with Warframe. Rapid hotfixes is DE's thing, and is how they're able to get as experimental as they do. Console updates have to go through cert, which means there's a random amount of time delay while you wait for the console manufacturer to come down from their mountain home and check if they can see their own shadow. PC has gotten 3+ hotfix in a single day before, often fixing highly critical things such as glitches in rewards. With console, you typically can't do that unless the bug is fixable entirely from the server side, which also means you generate a shitload more cruft because you have to fix everything without touching the client, even if it is a client-side bug, which breeds bugs and slower dev time on everything. Ultimately, you might be able to synchronize Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and Nintendo Switch, which I am highly for, but PC must be on its own earlier track as the beta tester, otherwise you get Anthem and stagnation. Where a very notable reply follows. While we're on this subject, PC had an update immediately before December holidays in 2017 that made the game crash if you exited the planes while a controller was plugged in. It remained in the game, if I recall correctly, for 12 days. I probably don't need to say why that would never fly on consoles. Now to end this very long video up focusing on the community's response and feedback to Nightwave Series 1, mostly taking the most popular posts and whatnot and reading them to you, we will now focus on the changes that DE announced for Nightwave Series 2. The first announced Nightwave change came on the 24th of April, where DE Steve replied to the following Twitter post saying, "Yeah. I know you guys said next Nightwave will be different, but god do these 1-hour missions with friends suck. Running out of life support 6 minutes to go, or people just being unreliable staying the whole time. Can the missions be my missions and not dependent on X," where the second post was later deleted. But yeah, Steve replied yeah. The second post to announce changes came on the 25th, which is something we have already covered on this video, but it was the "and yes, we have a list of don't do X for next Nightwave" tweet from Steve. The actual announced changes came in the dev workshop Nightwave changes for Series 2, and it reads, "A while back, we posted requesting feedback on Nightwave Episode 1 The Wolf of Saturn 6. Now we are putting that feedback into action for Series 2, and we wanted to share our progress. To recap, we already had feedback on the I-10 statues and RNG, challenges with friends, and how survival challenges were too long for one sitting. On that note, we have been compiling further feedback from that thread and through other sources, and have come up with some new challenges to be implemented in Series 2 of Nightwave. 1. Playing catch-up, stored and missed acts. The biggest change we want to announce was the addition of a system which allows you to play missed acts after you have completed the current acts for your given week. This only applies to weekly and elite weekly acts. When both weekly and elite weekly acts are completed for a week, a missed act from a previous week will be available to play and complete. Once you have completed all missed acts, they will no longer appear, only to be refreshed in the next week's rotation. Number 2. Degrindification. The overarching plan here is to reduce the amount of acts offered in a given week, but maintain the standing rewards they provide. Series 1 has 7 weekly acts and 3 elite weekly acts. Series 2 will be reduced to 5 weekly acts and 2 elite weekly acts. While there will be less acts overall, the rewards for these acts will increase, so you will earn the same amount of standing as you would in the previous episode upon completion. We are also looking at front-loading more cred with the next series to increase the initial amount of creds received from participating. 3 was changes to existing acts, saying the following: Clanmates and friends act requirements have been removed completely. Complete 5 sorties elite weekly to complete 3 sorties. Complete any 60-minute survival act has been reduced to 30 minutes. I-10 socket requirements for acts lowered from 5 to 3. 10 perfect conservations reduced to 6 different perfect conservations. 10 bounties reduced to 5 different bounties. And increase Sanctuary Onslaught rounds from 3 to 8. And increase the Sanctuary Onslaught acts from 3 rounds to 8 rounds. Number 4. New acts. Under daily, they said, find 5 Syndicate medallions, transmute 12 mods, deploy an air support charge in a mission, pay your Kubrau or Kavat. For weekly, complete 3 Kuva Siphon missions, and complete 3 different K-Drive races in the Orb Valis. For Elite Weekly, complete a spy mission using your operator. Warframe cannot leave spawn room. Number 5. The Emissary. Of course, a new series means a new Nightwave story. We don't want to spoil too much, but we will also be changing up the way the story interacts with the world. Episode 2 will have more interactivity with the players in new ways, expanding out and growing as the episode progresses. We are excited for you to see what you make of this new story. Number 6. The Wolf. The Wolf will remain a threat, and his parts acquirable. When Nightwave Episode 1 concludes, the Wolf will become a random enemy with a small chance of appearing, which will grow as you take on higher levels. Wolf beacons will also be available and placed into the normal rotation of Nora Knight's wares. We would like to take a moment to thank you for your collected feedback in the last thread, and as always, we continue to look at ways to improve the new system as it grows and progresses. Let us know your thoughts and your concerns as always. Please keep your comments constructive and civil. And the following posts are a collection of those comments to end the video. While I'm fine with a catch-up mechanic, I feel it's pertinent to mention that there are some players who will not be able to complete the Elite Weeklies in order to take an advantage of this at all, namely those that can't fight Profit Taker yet. I propose you make regular Weeklies and Elite Weeklies track separately, if possible, so that way players can catch up on each category individually. That or remove Profit Taker from the rotation until the way to access her is made a little more achievable for lower Mastery rank players. Yes, they can just put the time in, but they have to wait a significantly longer amount of time than someone at, say, Mastery Rank 25 to Mastery Rank 27. Others like this post praising the removal of the clanmates and friend act. This is good. My only request is adding challenges that can be done during Arbitration, Elite Sanctuary Onslaught and/or Sorties, as those are what I play the most. In response to that, someone's saying, I don't do any of those, so please don't add challenges to those modes. Thanks. Another, are K-Drive related things really necessary? Leave it out and keep the friend and clanmate thing. At least those usually were fast if it's a sortie. In general, why would you put things as acts that players don't have to do? For example, gilding amps, putting in stars, opening relics, now transmuting, farming syndicate medallions. All of those things are directed towards players that might still need it, but once you have the things you want from any of those, it becomes completely and utterly pointless. Similar to Elite Sanctuary Onslaught, you could just add the complete a full rotation of defense, survival, excavation, etc. on the thing. This way, people have a bit more freedom in choosing missions they might want to do, instead of being forced into going into relic missions. Someone did a list of their initial thoughts. For the catch-up mechanic, they said outstanding, good work. Act changes, saying perfect, especially the Sanctuary Onslaught challenge. Now I don't have to get clearmates for Elite Sanctuary Onslaught when that's a weekly, I just have to squad hop till a host replies yes to A. Find Syndicate Medallions. Fair enough, we'll likely see complaints, but I think it's fine. Transmute 12 mods? No. Transmutation is really only good when you're later in the game and have a lot of credits. Please do not introduce this new player trap. Complete 3 K-Drive races in Orb Valis. The Kuva Siphon one is fine if it includes floods as siphons. This one either requires external sources or a lot of time for players that don't know the race locations. Complete a spy using your operator. Warframe cannot leave spawn room, he said. Remember all the stuff people were saying about, it's not hard, it's just tedious? Prime example right here. And for the Wolf, he said, this will likely make the Wolf Sledge one of the most expensive items in the game. Also, since I'm dropping my Parathesis from my loadouts once he's no longer consistent, he needs to take status damage if he remains a field boss. Another, my feedback is only in 2 points. Iotans need to be 1 and not 3. Gilding a modular item needs to go. That is all. For axe suggestions, another added. For elite challenges, they said, finish the Hydrolus bounty in under 20 minutes, complete a Kuva Flood mission in under 8 minutes, and defeat Keladathame in under 10 minutes. For dailies, shake hands with someone of the same syndicate. For weeklies, win a match of Frame Fighter or complete the previous mastery test in Samaris' relay section. A few more posts to go before we finish up the video. The downside of having less acts but them being worth more standing is that getting an act you can't complete will hurt more. I'm in a spot where there's really nothing I can't do, but the newer players who can't do many of the elite acts will suffer by missing out on bigger chunks of standing. Generally though, I like these changes. Another, would have really preferred it to be bounty stages rather than different bounties. Can we please get more visibility of race locations? Like hop on the K-Drive, all current races revealed on map. At the moment, I have no idea where they are since they keep changing, and they don't show up on the map unless you're near one. That one's more of a commentary on the K-Drive races, but it's still feedback. And 2 more, I'm honestly a little apprehensive about this one. I feel like there'd be a lot of people complaining about this if they're not very skilled at playing the game in operator mode or haven't really worked on unlocking everything for the operator. It might give more incentive to actually work on unlocking things for the operator, but it might also push people away if they don't have the time to actually work on grinding that out. If the idea of making this less of a grind is the intention, you're kind of forcing more of a grind into this as well for some players with a challenge like this. I'm also not so sure about the K-Drive race challenge being a good idea. As someone else pointed out earlier, not everyone is familiar with where the races are at. This isn't exactly helped by the fact that there is also some people who legitimately don't care for using their K-Drives at all and or refuse to use them, so they won't really want to bother with memorizing where the races are located. An alternative that would probably work out better is having players capture certain outposts in the Orb Valis, i.e. clearing out the Pearl area and making it safe to grab bounties from first, followed by clearing out the Temple Fabrication area and making it safe to grab bounties from afterwards. The Kuva Siphon challenges seem like a nice addition, though I'm hoping that includes floods as well, since they tend to be more rewarding. I'm sure some folks will still do siphons regardless, but the floods basically operate the same as the bounties, so it would make sense to have them count towards that challenge as well. A few more going. The Use 3 Former and Guild 1 modular item challenges need to go, we haven't forgot about them. Also, please don't introduce the mod transmuting challenge. And lastly, I don't think lowering the socket count is enough. This challenge and the guild and modular weapon or use X former challenges are ones that should be completely deleted. Their very existence discourages players from doing these tasks on their own time, i.e. obtaining or filling items for decorations and Endo, crafting or upgrading modular weapons, and upgrading weapons and frames and pets, out of fear that one of these challenges would pop up and require them to spend all their resources plus time again. I don't think this is something that should ever happen in a game. If any of you guys at DE play Pokemon Go, you'll know that Niantic is already infamous for having a more extreme version of this problem with their Community Day exclusive Pokemon moves. Oh look, I got a Ralts with 100 stats, better do nothing with it for months on end because evolving it right now might lock it out of a better moveset in the future, causing its good stats to go to waste. And the final post we will highlight before we end, I'm having mixed feelings about these changes. What I like, maybe the decrease in weekly acts is a good thing, so there's room to do other stuff in game, even though about half the challenges you could complete while doing other stuff and even combine them anyway. Reduction on sorties requirement. I never miss a sortie, but I can see how something can come up that prevents you from doing it any day of the week. Reduction on perfect conservation captures, if only because it takes too long. Increase to sanctuary onslaught zones from 3 to 8, and catch up sounds actually cool. What I don't like, reducing the Kuva survival to 30 minutes is not elite anymore and quite common. Same as 20 waves, people do that all the time in Hydron. How hard is it to ask someone in clan or recruiting chat to squad up for a mission? We all live together indeed. Overall, what I keep seeing is people want more with as little effort as possible. When you're new to the game, you don't have access to things like sorties and arbitration. If you are not able to do some elite challenges yet, you should be required to work towards it, just like with any game. I will agree about the Gilded Weapons Act because it forces you to build something even if you already have every modular weapon in the game, but things like Iatan sculptures are easily obtained doing sortie and arbitration. Then again, I'm puzzled by the new Operator Only Act. It sounds fun for someone like me, but I'm sure people will start complaining about it being too hard or complaining they can't use Operator yet because they're not that far into the game, and it will get nixed anyway later on. Thanks to Nightwave, I was pushed to do stuff I didn't do before and get better at other things, and loved it for it. It was even more rewarding knowing that I could reach rank 30 fast enough I'd get more creds to buy what I want. On that note, the one change I think was needed was to reward creds at every rank, even if it was just 5, that's enough to buy 19 extract. Another thing I would prefer seeing implemented would be 2 tiers, one with easy challenges for newcomers and another one for experienced players who enjoy the challenge. One last thing, Wolf was a good idea and a different kind of boss, but the whole effort of taking him down was barely worth it because the drop chances for anything worth something was ridiculously low. I know people who often fought for an hour or close to only get a mod. This is the exact opposite of the exploiter fight where you and your team can coordinate to take the enemy down as quick as possible and get a good amount of loot as a reward. Now that does conclude part 1 of 2 on the history of Nightwave Series 1, the Wolf of Saturn 6. Of course, with each of these posts there are numerous posts about feedback, responses, and criticism and everything. Even other Warframe partners have shared their opinions on it. If you want to go deep diving and you really want to know about what everyone has thought, I will leave links to all the posts that I've mentioned here today, as I said earlier in this video. But part 2 will collect the story, the final post about Series 1, Fugitives, Standing Acquisition, the unique operation, the community's response to all of it, and hell, if you notice any posts that I did not mention in today's video, let me know in the comments section and I'll make sure to put it in part 2. Just like this episode of Warframe History, Part 2 will retain the same format, focusing on the most popular and notable responses from the player base, from the Warframe forums and the Warframe subreddit by reading out the posts exactly as they were made to not take away from why they garnered such a response or support at the time. Now expect part 2 soon, but for now, that does conclude this episode of Warframe History. If you do wish to share your thoughts on the format of this episode, make sure to leave it within the comments section, alongside your thoughts about Nightwave Series 1 if you got to experience it, and the community post highlighted in this episode. Also, if you think this is one of the worst Warframe History episodes you'll have listened to or watch, then let me know in the comment section down below because I feel inclined to agree with you. Anyway, thank you for watching and I'll see you guys next time.